All right, thank you. Commissioner Hardesty, you look like an apparition. A lovely apparition, but you come in and out. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a regular meeting of the Newark Zoning Board of Adjustment. Excuse me. Today's date is Thursday, November 13th, 2025. The purpose of this meeting is to hear requests for variances from the Newark zoning and land use regulations under the authority of the municipal land use law. If you're an applicant for a D or use variance, you should be aware that such a variance can only be granted after showing that special reasons for the grant of the variance exist and that the variance can be granted without substantial detriment to the zoning plan of the city of Newark. You should also be aware that in order to be granted such a variance, you require an affirmative vote of 5 members of the 7-member Board of Adjustment. Other variances require a majority of 4 votes to grant the variance. If you're an applicant for any variance and your variance is denied by this board, you have a right to appeal to the Superior Court of the State of New Jersey within 45 days of notice of the decision, and that court may overturn the decision of this board. If you're an objector to any type of variance and the variance is granted, you too may appeal to the Superior Court of New Jersey within 45 days of the decision of this board. If you do file an appeal of the board's decision, we ask that in addition to complying with any notice required by statute or court rule, that you serve a copy of your pleadings on the zoning board secretary. Pursuant to the requirements of the Open Public Meetings Act, also known as the Sunshine Law, adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by notifying the Star Ledger, the Jersey Journal, the Newark City Clerk, and posting a copy on the bulletin board in the basement of Newark City Hall. In addition to adequate notice of under the Open Public Meetings Act, electronic notice of this remote public meeting was placed on the City of Newark's website as permitted by state statute. Members of the public may notify the host that you would like to ask questions or make statements by using the raised hand feature at the bottom of your computer screen or mobile device. If you are calling on a telephone, you can notify us by pressing *9 on your telephone. The Board of Adjustment is a quasi-judicial board, and if appeals are taken, we are required to provide a copy of the official transcript to the Superior Court. The chat is not part of the official transcript, so we would ask you to refrain from using the chat. We want to make sure that your questions, the answer to your questions, and any statements you have are properly recorded and part of the official transcript. Additionally, when you use the chat, it pops up on the screen. It's the same as if you were to speak out loud if we were meeting in public out of turn. It's disruptive. So please, we ask you to refrain from using the chat. The Board of Adjustment, meeting of the Board of Adjustment will now come to order. Madam Secretary, will you please call the roll?
Member Hardesty.
Present.
Member Comesañas.
Present.
Member Jones.
Present.
Member Cobian.
Present.
Vice Chair Mumford.
Present.
Chair Affont.
Present. I'm going to ask that we change the order of business. I want to make sure that we have a full board for our first application, and unless counsel for ZBA-25-17 has some objection, I'd ask for that counsel to allow us to second call that case. I see Ms. Moore has her hand raised. I'm sure she wants to tell us. That's fine with her. Let's bring Ms. Moore in. Ms. Moore? Always a pleasure, Ms. Moore. Is that your case, the first case,
It
Madison
is,
Avenue?
Chair, and good evening, Chair, and members of the board. I have no objection. I was actually stating the same, that that's a D1 variance, and we have no objection.
Yeah, we are expecting a full board. It may take a moment. Thank you. Let's call the next case, which will be the first case.
Yes. The time is now 6:21 p.m. The first item on tonight's agenda is ZBA 25-36, located at 503 South 10th Street, Block 308, Lot 9 in the Central Ward. The applicant is United Community Corporation. In the C1 zone, the applicant proposes the construction of a new two-family dwelling. Applicant is seeking C variances for insufficient lot size, excessive lot coverage by building, excessive impervious lot coverage, and insufficient shade trees. Site plan approval is not required.
I wonder if whoever counsel is on this case, if
It is,
you.
I'm here, Chair. It's actually my
Oh,
my
it's
case
your-
as well. Yes.
uh,
So
uh,
good evening.
Is
Yeah.
your whole team in, Miss?
I see my architect, engineer, and Mr. McDonough is our planner. I don't know if he's in yet. And my client, Craig Maynor, as well, the representative UCC, Craig Maynor.
Mr. Lewis is the architect.
That is correct, yes.
See Mr. McDonough. Who was the other person? Frank?
Mr. Maynor, Craig Maynor, I see now, he's here.
So everyone is in, right?
That is correct, yes.
All right, at this time, I'd ask if there are any objectors on application ZBA 25-36, 503 South 10th Street. I'd ask you to please identify yourself by raising your hand using the raised hand feature at the bottom of your screen. I'd ask you to do so now. The Board of Adjustment made the following findings of fact with respect to this property. It's located in Newark's West Side neighborhood on the western side of South 10th Street between Belgium Street and 16th Avenue. The total site area is approximately 2,145 square feet. The surrounding land uses consist of 2.5 to 3-story detached dwellings and the Harriet Tubman Elementary School. Counsel, your appearance for the record.
And good evening, Chair and members of the board, professionals. My name is Marcia Moore from the law firm of Post Pollock on behalf of the applicant, United Community Corporation. Just briefly, as Madam Secretary indicated, this property is located at 503 South 10th Street, and we're seeking to construct a new 3-story, 2-family with a 2-car garage. The property is located in the C1 district where the use itself, the 2-family, is permitted. We're here tonight with seeking C variances for our bulk variances, and that's really triggered by the undersized lot. The lot is roughly 2,145 square feet. Due to the irregularity of the lot, you hear our experts testify tonight. We do need some variances respect to the lot area, the coverage, and the shade tree, which our professionals will be discussing. Notice was published in the Star Ledger. We also put a sign on the property, and we also send the notices to the property owners. An affidavit have been submitted with the board secretary. Just briefly, I do have 2 witnesses tonight. Jeffrey Lewis will be discussing proposed application, and I do have our planner, Mr. McDonough, will be discussing the C variances. This property that's owned by United Community Corporation is their continued effort to build along that South 10th Street. We were before this board a few years ago with another property, and this property you'll hear tonight, or this construction, fits in with along the use that United Community Corporation is building along that corridor. I am in receipt of the planner's report. I have no objection to the planner's report. It is noted in the planner's report that Mr. Hazel has indicated that this property is ample size and a healthy habitation. And I'm also in receipt of the memorandum from Water and Sewer. As noted, we do not need site plan approval, so engineering report was not required. So at this time, I would like to bring my first witness, Mr. Jeffrey Lewis.
Right, before we do that, counsel, just to make the record clear, your applicant is agreeing to comply with all requirements set forth with all recommended conditions of approval. There was one set forth by our planner. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And also as a condition of approval, your applicant is agreeing to comply with all conditions and requests advanced by the Department of Water and Sewer. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
I would also note that there are no objectors on this case. I saw no raised hands. Isn't that correct, Ms. Mejia?
Yeah.
Ms. Mejia is not speaking. Mr. Lewis, could you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear or affirm testimony you're about to provide be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Can you state your name, your address, and relationship to this application, please?
Sure. My name is Jeffrey Lewis, Lewis. My address is 277 Ridge Street here in Newark, New Jersey, and I am an architect for this project.
Thank you. Ms. Lewis, have you appeared before this board before?
I have a few times. It's been probably 6 months or so, though.
I think the bow tie throws me off. Bow ties always confuse.
You get a lot of them?
No, I happily, no. I'm not a bow tie guy.
That's why I usually get remembered.
Um,
But my license is still active in New Jersey and in good standing.
Thank you. We'll accept Mr. Lewis as an expert in the field of architecture and unfortunately a bow tie wearer. Counsel.
I won't let him.
Unfortunately.
So, Mr. Lewis, if you can share your screen, I've discussed just an introduction. If you can just give us an overview of the site and then discuss the architectural component of this application.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, Marcia, can you see it?
Not yet.
Come on. It's not coming up?
Now it is.
Yes, I can see that. Yes, if you could zoom out. We can...
Okay, great. Okay, so I'm starting here on the second page of our drawings. It kind of as close as we can get to the site plans themselves. On the left here, we have what's existing now, and in the center and on the right, we have more proposed. So as Marcia mentioned, this is an undersized, irregular lot. We are 25 feet wide in the front, which is conforming. We are 100 feet deep at the deepest point, which is conforming. But what you can see is we have this chunk in the back that's taken out of that 25 by 100 lot, which brings us down from 2,500 square feet to 2,145 square feet. The lot itself has an existing vacant building that will be demolished. You can also see that the front stairs for that existing building are out in the public right of way. So that's a condition that we will be rectifying by demolishing that stair as well. And what we're proposing, as you can see in the center here, is a new 3-story, 2-family residential building. We are asking for a few variances here. One is for the undersized lot. Two that relate to that are for the building coverage and for the impervious coverage on this lot. And then one is for the street tree. And I'll address some of those, and then John will cover the rest. So I want to move to the center drawing and look at our proposed site plan and start down here at the street level, where we are providing new concrete curbs and new concrete sidewalks. We're also providing a new 10-foot curb cut, which will provide access to the new 2-car garage on the property. And I mentioned we can't provide a street tree, and that's really because one, we have the driveway here on the left. Then if you look on here on the right, there's a utility pole located right here. And also we have our gas and our water lines underground. I could show that later on the utility plan. And there's just no place where a tree can be safely placed and honestly placed with the clearances that it's required. So we are going to submit some funding to the shade tree funds. Moving on to the property. The building is built on the front property line, and this is designed to match the existing street front, most of which is built to the front property line, including the building directly to our right. We do have 3-foot side yards on each side. On the right side, we're just proposing a lawn that's going to be enclosed by a lower 3-foot tall wrought iron fence. On the left side, we have a concrete walkway which leads from the front to the backyard. This is also enclosed by a 3-foot tall wrought iron fence, and we have a gate in the front to provide entry to the backyard. The rear yard is over 33 feet deep, so more than we need. It's mostly lawn area. However, we do have our 2 air conditioning units up against the building, and they're on a concrete pad. We also have this trash area to the left that's also on a concrete pad. We are providing 1 new tree in the backyard here at the back of the property. The entire backyard from the back of the building to the back of the building is enclosed by a 6-foot tall vinyl fence. And then lastly, we do have a stormwater detention system here in the backyard. All of the backyard is sloped to the system, and all of our roof leaders are also leading to that system. And then the tank is an underground tank that has an overflow that leads to the street. And I do have details of that if that's something that the board's interested in seeing. I can quickly go down and just show, this is our utility plan. And as you can see, this is the water line, this is the gas line, this is the utility pole. There's just no space for a street tree, unfortunately, here.
But I just want to touch, you mentioned, Marcia Moore speaking. We mentioned the deficiency in the lot area and then the C variance for the coverage on the impervious, but you mentioned respect to the rear yard and the side yard, we're fully conforming. We're not seeking relief for that. Is that correct? Side,
That's
rear.
correct.
Okay. Okay. If you can.
And then lastly, here on the right. Oh, go ahead, Marcia. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Oh, and then I was just going to say, lastly, you can see the detention system that we're proposing here on the right. With that, I want to just move on to the floor plans and walk you through these. And I want to start in the middle here on the second floor, because what we have is an exterior staircase which leads from the ground up to the second floor. And then we have a landing which has the doors to each of our apartments. And I want to start with apartment number 1. This apartment takes up most of this second floor here, and then the back half of the first floor of the building. It's a 4-bedroom apartment with 1 full bath and 2 half baths, and it's a total of 1,527 square feet. So it's a pretty big apartment. Looking at the layout, in the front, we have this large open living, dining, kitchen area. Walking down the hallway, we have 2 bedrooms to the left that are each the same size. They're 9'2" by 10 feet each. And then in the back, we have the master bedroom. This bedroom is 11'4" by 13'8", and it has an ensuite half bath off of it. Also, off the hallway, we have a closet, a full bathroom, and we have an open staircase which leads down to the first floor. So that stair comes down here at the first floor. It opens out into this 15'6" by 14'7" family room. And then off of the family room, we have a half bath. We have a washer dryer closet, as both of these apartments are going to have their own individual washer dryers. We have a den that's 8 foot by 10.5 feet. And then in the back, we have the 4th bedroom, our guest bedroom, which is 11'4" by 12'2". I do also want to note from the family room, there are 2 doors, one which leads out to the side. This provides access to the backyard, and a second which leads directly to the 2-car garage in the front of the building. Off of that garage, we also have a utility room that has our furnace for the first floor apartment, as well as both water heaters. Moving over to the 3rd floor, I'll talk about the 3rd floor apartment. This is apartment number 2. It's 1,023 square feet in total. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath apartment. The layout is mostly the same as the floor below. We have that same open living, dining, kitchen area in the front. Walking down the hall, these 2 bedrooms to the left are the same size as they are on the floor below, as is the master bedroom in the back. The difference here is we do have a full bedroom off of that master bedroom instead of a half bath, full bathroom. We also have a 2nd full bathroom and a laundry closet on this floor. Again, as I mentioned, each apartment has their own laundry. So that's it for the floor plans. We don't have anything on the roof. Moving on to the building elevations, our main finish is our fiber cement panels. We're using those on the upper 2 levels of the front of the building. And as you can see, those also wrap around the right side for a portion of the front. The second material we're using is a brick. We're using this at the ground level in the front of the building. That also wraps around the right, and we're finishing the staircase with that brick as well. And then we have this little 2-story section of front-facing elevation, which is also going to be finished with that same brick. The main doors are 6-panel doors. We have an overhead canopy above them to provide a little bit of protection from the elements. The garage door is a solid door with some glazing, a row of glazing across the top of it. And then lastly, we are using vinyl siding at the rear elevation, all along the left side and on the back half of the right side of the building. And I do have a rendering to show a little better some of the colors and what we're talking about here. So you can see fiber cement siding above and then the brick down below and on the sides.
And if we have that marked as A1.
Yes. Okay. And actually, that's really all I have to show you. I can answer any questions now or at the end, whichever you prefer. Thanks.
Council, did you, I heard you say something?
No, I have it marked as A1. I will provide a copy of it to Madam Chair. Just wanted to mark for the record.
I appreciate that. I have 2 questions.
Sure.
What architectural style would you say this is? How would you characterize this style?
It's certainly a modern building. It definitely has a modern look.
Yeah. Okay. Are there any questions for the architect from the board? Questions for the architect from the board? It's a little brutal, the look, I think. Not necessarily a bad.
Yeah, modernism is it's pretty simple, right? It doesn't get too decorative, that's for sure.
Questions for the architect from the board? Are there questions for the architect from members of the public? If so, please use the raise hand feature at the bottom of your screen. If you are on the telephone, please press *9. I'd ask you to do so now. I saw one raised hand.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Commissioner Monfort.
the color scheme, does it have to be that dark? What is the color scheme of the rest of the neighborhood?
It's kind of all over the place. We can certainly go with a lighter gray color at the top if that's something the board would prefer. I know we're showing more of a charcoal now, but you do see it with a lighter color more.
Yeah, I would like to see some other pictures of the neighborhood just to kind of see, because that does look like, I know it's modern, but we don't want it to just pop out so hard on the neighborhood. So I'll wait to see what Mr. McDonough has for us tonight.
Thank you. Commissioner Hardesty.
Commissioner Mumford just took the words right out of my mouth. I was asking to see the pictures of the surrounding buildings next to this one, but if the planner has it, I'll wait as well.
Nobody likes the architect's eye for the modern look, huh?
No.
Okay, everybody's question. What do they say
I
about
could show,
beauty?
I mean,
What do they say?
what I would
about
say is
beauty?
if
Whose
you
eye is it in? Are there any questions for the architect from members of the public?
Well,
Council,
he was about to say something. Did he have an explanation?
I think.
Well, no, I was just.
Go ahead, Count.
I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No.
I was going to say I could bring up the street view on Google Maps if you wanted to see what we're looking at here.
And also, just
And John's apparently saying he was going to do the same.
if I can say, Mr. McDonough does have in his exhibit an aerial, but one of the comments, I believe Mr. Lewis is saying that if we can work with the planner in order to achieve something that's more palatable to the board. But Mr. McDonough will be showing you the aerial.
Commissioner Jones.
Well, yes, I actually have the same question. I mean, the model presented it's beautiful, but it's extremely contemporary, and I too was curious about what the neighborhood in terms of what it looks like, or is there anything else in the neighborhood that looks as contemporary as what you are proposing?
Well, it appears the anti-contemporaries have raised their voice here. Are there any questions from?
I would say, oh, if I could just answer, I would say that there probably isn't anything in this direct neighborhood that looks like this. This neighborhood is pretty old and honestly a little bit run down. So this would definitely stand out in this neighborhood. I think that was kind of something we were going for a little bit.
Mr. Lewis was going for the I want this to stand out look. Okay,
Yes.
understood. Are there any questions from members of the public for the architect? If so, please use the raise hand feature at the bottom of your computer screen. If you're on the telephone, press *9. Ms. Moore, I wonder if, as a condition of approval, your applicant would agree to meet with the city's arborist to review and confirm the impossibility of tree planting on the street, and to consider other plantings, and then to make the required contribution to the city's tree fund.
Yes, we have no objection. We discussed that.
Thank you. I see no raised hands. Council, is Mr. McDonough next?
Yes, Mr. McDonough is my next.
Could you raise your right hand? Please do swear affirm the testimony you're about to provide will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes, I do.
Please state your name, your address, and relationship to this application.
It's John McDonough. My address is 101 Gibraltar Drive, Parsippany, New Jersey, and I am the project planner.
Your volume is and your sound is a little going in and out.
John, can you hear us?
Yeah, I'm going to come in by phone, Marcia.
All right.
Well, it's.
Record press.
Mr. McDonough just wants to show off his technological expertise here. Must have that new iPhone. I don't know. I may have spoken too soon. I don't know. Well, if it's a problem, we'll just suffer through with the other. It's just coming a little bit loud. And it sounded like a bit spotty, Mr. McDonough.
Mr. Chair,
Yeah,
I'm sorry, I dialed in, but it's telling me I'm a panelist.
that's okay. We'll go with this. Sit back, speak slowly. Your name, address, and relationship to this application, please.
Marcia, can you hear me okay?
We can hear you. We can hear you.
Okay. Okay, so Mr. Chair, with your permission, I'm going to share photos of the subject property taken today.
Please. Do we have copies of this?
We'll provide
If not-
copies of Madam Chair. If we can mark it as A2, John, how many
Thank you.
pages? 5?
So marked.
So this is going to be a 4-page exhibit. Mr. Chair, if I'm too loud or too soft, just let me know. Got an undersized lot. It's a vacant lot. It's block on South 10th Street. Again, this is in the C1 zone district where the use is permitted. And we have a project here that substantially complies with your zoning parameters. There's absolutely no deal that the applicant is seeking here. The use complies, the height complies, the density complies. The only reason in front of the zoning board is under your jurisdiction to grant variances and applications that are site plan exempt, which this happens to be.
Mr. McDonough, sit back, speak slowly. When you speak quickly, it seems to break up for some reason.
Okay. Mr. Chair, if you want, I could go out and come back, or if we...
No, just speak slowly.
So again, it's a single tax lot. The applicant is not creating this lot. The lot is there. It is a building lot. It is permitted for 2-family dwellings. That's exactly what the applicant is proposing here. Substantial compliance with your C1 zoning parameters. And again, the only relief that the applicant is asking the board to move on is an undersized lot, which is a fully platted lot at 2,145 square feet, where a minimum of 2,500 square feet is required. We are flanked by what's showing up as 3-family dwellings, and we're only looking to put in a 2-family dwelling. So again, nice infill, compatible with the surrounding neighborhood. Along with the lot area, the undersized nature of the lot triggers coverage relief both from building standpoint and from lot standpoint. 52.21% versus 50%. For the lot coverage by the building, and then 69.93%, or 65% is the maximum that's allowed for the lot. If this were a conforming lot, this building would be fully conforming, so we're looking for a hardship relief for a structure that is otherwise ordinary in the context of the zone and the landscape. So we think there's practical difficulties here. Towards the question of the neighborhood, this is what the neighborhood looks like. Again, we're dealing with infill of a vacant lot. You've got multi-story buildings on this street in a variety of colors, earth tone colors. You've got more of a tan color, a bluish, darkish gray color, yellow. Again, more of a pure blue here. You've got some of those darker colors as we work our way down the street. You've got a whitish building as we work our way to. So there is diversity of colors and forms. You do have sort of this, I'll call it boxy style on the street, this contemporary style on the street. So we think there's good compatibility in that regard as well. A reverse view, just looking back towards the downtown and New York City, the back of the subject property and the surrounding land use context around it. And then finally with a top-down view of the property to emphasize it's a vacant lot. All said, we think this lies squarely under the C2 balancing test as a better zoning alternative for the property where the benefits outweigh the detriments. The provision of new housing stock and replacement of a vacant lot substantially outweigh any detriments created by the coverage relief that the applicant is seeking. There's also an element of hardship here, given the fact that we are working with a lawfully platted, undersized lot. With that, Mr. Chair, I'll stop share. I'll leave this on in case anyone has questions. That's all I have on direct.
Thank you. Anything further from this witness, Ms. Moore? Ms. Moore? Did we lose Ms. Moore?
Marcia, you're muted.
I'm muted. Nothing further, Chair. Apologize. I was muted.
Thank you. Commissioner Hall.
Yeah, I don't know if we could get back up the architect's renderings. So now that I've seen what Mr. Madonna showed us, I could look at the architect's rendering. I just want to see it one more time, if that's possible.
I think it pops.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. That makes it clear for me. Thank you.
Are there any questions from the board for Mr. McDonough? questions from the board for Mr. McDonough? If none, are there questions for Mr. McDonough from members of the public? Questions from members of the public for the planner? Council, do you have any other witnesses?
I do not have any other witnesses, Chair. That concludes my presentation.
This is I'll now ask if there are members of the public who care to make a statement regarding this application. Are there any members of the public who care to make a statement regarding this application? If so, I'll ask you to identify yourselves by using the raise hand feature on your device at the bottom of the screen, the raise hand feature, or if you're on a telephone by pressing *9. I would ask you to do so now, please. I see no raised hands. Council.
Chair, so I believe the applicant has presented his testimony. We have met both the positive and negative criteria with respect to these undersized lot that's triggering these C variances, as Mr. McDonough noted, are hardship variances. I do want to note in my final summary that the applicant has agreed to the conditions of approval with meeting the arborist, and the applicant will agree as condition of approval as well as to meet with your planner to provide a lighter, softer tone to address any concerns that the board members may have. And I would ask that you grant the C variances.
Thank you, Council. We're now in discussion. Commissioner Hall.
Yeah, I mean, I looked at, now that I saw the renderings and compared them to what's there, I'm more comfortable. It's modern than more modern than the others, but the neighborhood has a mixture of colors, styles, and I think it'll fit in. And the applicant is working with the lot he has, so for me, it's pretty straightforward. I'm going to be in favor of this application.
Thank you. Are there any other comments from the board? Other comments from members of the board?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Monfort.
I think it's a good project. The neighborhood does need some redevelopment. It will bring some modernization to the neighborhood, so I'll be in favor of it. The tone is not that bad. I think it could be just a little lighter, but I'm in favor of the project.
Thank you. Are there any other comments from the board? Comments from the board? If none, may I have a motion, please?
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Vice Chair Monfort.
make a motion that application ZBA 25-36 503 South 10th Street be approved with all conditions stated on the record.
Motion Vice Chair Monfort. May I have a second?
Second.
Second.
Second, I think that was Commissioner Jones, correct?
Yes.
Call the roll, please.
Member Hall,
Yes.
Member Hardesty,
Yes.
Member Comesañas,
Yes.
Member Jones.
Yes.
Member Cobian,
Yes.
Vice Chair Mumford,
Yes.
Chair Alphont.
Yes. Congratulations, your application has been approved.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank
Mr.
you. Call the first case,
Thank you,
please.
everyone.
The time is now 6:54 p.m. The next item on tonight's agenda is ZBA-25-17, located at 89-91 Madison Street, Block 188, Lot 11 in the East Ward. The applicant is 89 Madison Street LLC. In the MX1 zone, the applicant proposes to convert an existing storage warehouse into a commercial/mixed-use building consisting of an event space/film production studio and cafe. Applicant is seeking a D1 use variance to permit the event space and C variances for insufficient off-street parking. Site plan approval is required.
Ms. Moore, is your team in?
Not, they're
Mr.
not on yet.
Seckler?
I see Mr. Seckler. If you see Miss Adriana Sabat, our architect. I also need Sufiane El Musi, our civil engineer. And then our representative, Alex Hodgson, and Josh, what's Josh's last name?
Ms. Sabazin,
Let me look and see who's in
Ms.
there.
Musia is in. Is that everybody?
No, I'm still waiting for the client. There he is.
Maxi Lopes.
That's correct, yes. That is our team.
I don't see Maxi Lopes.
I don't know, that might be just, I don't know who Maxi Lopes is, but she might be on as here the app.
Is she a part of your team or not?
No, no.
Okay.
She might be someone who has an interest in the property, but we'll ask, I'll wait for that.
Okay. At this time, I'd ask if there are any objectors to this application. This is application ZBA 25-17, 89 to 91 Madison Avenue. If you're an objector, please raise your hand so that we can identify you and bring you in. Please keep account of how many and who they are, Ms. Mejia. 8991 Madison Avenue. The Board of Adjustment made the following findings of fact with respect to this property. It's located in Newark's Ironbound neighborhood on the western side of Madison Street between Ferry and Lafayette Streets. The total site area is approximately 5,459 square feet. The surrounding land uses consist of residential and mixed-use properties and a surface parking lot. Ms. Mejia, were there objectors?
No. Well, there's one raised hand now.
I see Dave Robinson. Let's bring Mr. Robinson in. And while waiting for Mr. Robinson, if you can turn on your camera and unmute yourself. Mr. Robinson, are you an objector to this application?
No, to the contrary, I'm a supporter for the
Okay.
project. So
Thank you. Maxi Lopes, could you turn your camera on and unmute yourself? Screen name Maxi Lopes.
Hi, how are you?
I'm well, thank you. Are you an objector to this application?
No, I'm a supporter.
Okay. Let the record reflect that there are two supporters to this application. No one identified as an objector. Counsel, your appearance for the record, please.
And for the record, Marcia Moore from the law firm of Post Paul on behalf of the applicant 89 Madison Street LLC.
Counsel?
Just briefly. So, Chair, it is a pleasure to present this application tonight. This is an application to adaptively reuse the existing two-story building that has been used as a warehouse into a multi-purpose event space, which you'll hear tonight, a hybrid space which could be used as a film production studio. We have proposing a public-facing cafe as well as a kitchen to be used by ODR Studios. You'll hear tonight this project also includes some ancillary storage areas, offices, and associated site improvements via interior modifications, as well as also some improvements to the exterior of the property. As Madam Secretary noted, the property is located in the MX1 zone and has been previously used as a warehouse. The film production studio you're here will provide professional space for film, photography, and multimedia production. And this multi-space event is designed to be flexible to host cultural, community, and private events. We are seeking a D1 use variance because event space is not permitted in the zone. The film photography or photo studio, production studio is not defined in your ordinance, but we are seeking a D1 use variance. We're also seeking some C variance for off-street parking, and there are a number of existing nonconformities that we're not exacerbating that we're also seeking relief. One of your goals of your Newark master plan that was adopted a few years ago states it's to support Newark's diverse, vibrant arts and cultural events. And you're here tonight via the testimony of our operator, as well as our planner, that this project, we believe, will achieve those goals. I just have some housekeeping, just to address some reports that I have received. The first report that I'm in receipt of is your engineer memorandum, and that's dated November 6, 2025. We can comply as a condition of approval. However, I do want to highlight certain sections in the report. That's 4X. We will be asking Chair for relief from the shade trees that we'll be addressing during the course of our presentation tonight. The site is an existing property, as noted, you'll hear tonight, and there are two driveways that are existing. We are seeking relief for that to be maintained. There's also an existing loading zone that's referenced in the report 5X, and our engineer will be addressing that, seeking relief for the size of the loading zone, not the loading zone itself, but the size of the loading zone. Mr. Trafficante has asked us to elicit certain testimony, respect some existing staircase and relocating those staircases. That's referenced as 4-9. Our engineer will be addressing that. And otherwise, we can comply with the conditions of approval. Mr. Trafficante has also issued a traffic and parking assessment report and has asked our traffic engineer to address certain comments, and we're prepared to do so tonight. And I'm also in receipt of the water and sewer memorandum, and we will agree with those as conditions of approval. And last but not least, I am in receipt of Mr. Hazel Planner's report. That's dated November 7, 2025, and we will agree to those as conditions of approval. And at this time, I have a number of witnesses tonight. My first witness will be our civil engineer, and that's Soufiane El Moussi, will give you an overview of the existing site. Then our architect will discuss the architectural component of this proposed spaces that we're asking for relief tonight.
Thank you. Mr. El Moussi, could you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to provide will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Could you state your name, give us your address and relationship to this application?
Absolutely. My name is Soufiane El Moussi, spelled Soufiane, last name Elmoussi. I'm a licensed engineer in the state of New Jersey, New York, Connecticut, and Pennsylvania. I have been in front of this board and numerous other boards in the state of New Jersey, and my license is in good standing.
In the state of New Jersey, correct?
That is correct.
We'll recognize Mr. Moussi as an expert in the field of engineering. Counsel?
So, Mr. Moussi, if you can share your screen and give us an overview of this existing site.
Absolutely. So good evening, everybody. So as mentioned during both by Marsha and by chair member, this is 89 Madison. It is between Ferry Street and Lafayette. It is in zone MX1, and the site is roughly 57 foot wide by 56 foot wide by 97 foot long. And the building itself is the entire footprint of the building. As mentioned earlier, this is the existing facade. Part of the scope of work here, and I'll discuss this a little further, but this image kind of highlights it. There's two existing roll-up doors, an existing a main entry door, as well as a Bilco door that you cannot see here that accesses the basements. And the intent here from a site engineering perspective is to maintain and refresh both the front of the building as well as the related sidewalk, curbs, and include a new loading zone. So as part of the application, we are seeking a series of variances. Marsha kind of alluded to them, but I just wanted to highlight that they're all existing nonconformities that are to remain, and we are not seeking to exacerbate them. So moving on to sheet C-100, this is both the existing condition site plan as well as showing the proposed work site plan. From a site engineering perspective, what we're looking at here is the removal and replacement of the existing sidewalk because it's in a poor state. Same thing with the existing curb, as well as the addition of one new shade tree. along the front of the building, and the addition of a loading zone, a no parking zone that aligns with the existing two driveways. So the intent here is, and that's one of the design waivers, is that the loading zone is not 30 feet, is actually 28 foot 4 long, is because we would like to match the existing driveway curb cuts, and that way to not reduce any on-street parking. So the reuse of the driveways as the loading zone, since this is it's the applicant's driveway, would allow for this loading zone for production trucks. And for reference, a box truck is about 26 feet. So 28 foot 4 is just enough to allow for the larger size box truck, which would be appropriate for this type of venue for loading and offloading. Beyond that, the main change from a site perspective is the addition of a sprinkler system to the building, which will include a new fire line to connect into the existing 12-inch high-pressure water main on Madison Street. We did receive some comments both from engineering and water and sewer about connections, providing profiles, providing more engineering-related comments, to which we will comply. I think Marsha highlighted the ones that we would like to seek a waiver for, specifically the shade tree. And the main reason is if we look at the frontage of the building, we got the loading zone that takes on majority, or about 50% of the street frontage. We are providing a new shade tree, and then beyond that, we have the entry to the basements and entry to the ground floor. And we believe that between the entry, there is a need to maintain a 5-foot walkway across our sites, which would not allow us to add a shade tree on top of existing utilities that would conflict with the proposed shade tree. One other request at the TRC meeting was to provide a little bit more information on the lighting and proposed landscaping. And so what we've demonstrated is there are 2 existing light poles beyond our property that have an impact on our property from a light intensity, but we are proposing to add a total of 5 new wall sconces to the building facade with the refreshing of that facade. That's going to guarantee that at every entry point, be it the roll-up doors, the main entry, or the basement entry, are all appropriately lit and representative of this production and event space.
And one of the comments in Mr. Trafficante's report is lighting plan will comply, so we're not seeking a relief respect to the lighting, right?
That is correct. And we will work with your professionals to ensure that. Beyond that, something to highlight is obviously we do have existing, if I'm going to take the opportunity to go back to the title sheet, we have an existing fire escape, as well as the existing Bilco doors that would be in the public right of way. We are seeking to maintain both of those elements, as well as a couple of smaller planters that are already existing along the front facade. And I believe one of the requests is to make sure that both the applicant and their attorney provides a hold harmless agreements to the city to ensure that these appurtenances that are within the public right of way can be maintained.
I just want to add that because I know Mr. Trafficante, the hold harmless agreement, the discussion with the applicant is that we would ensure that it's recorded and runs with the land. So that indemnification would run with the land, correct?
That is correct. Beyond that, we have received comments from water and sewer departments. We will comply with them and we'll work with them to provide the required stormwater system, as well as all connections and all proposed backflow preventers, etc., that were requested by the water and sewer department.
I do want to add just one more comment, and I mentioned it in my introduction with respect to the driveway. We are seeking relief for that. That's an existing condition that we do have 2 existing driveways, and we like to maintain that. And just provide some testimony on that.
Absolutely. So the way this this building is set up is the western driveway right here provides access to a direct ramp that takes you to the 2nd floor, while the eastern driveway provides direct access to the ground floor. And so removing one for the other would not be practical in a sense, because they have direct access to different levels. And that is why we're seeking to maintain these 2 existing driveways, where based on the building frontage, only one would be required. And as I mentioned earlier, we are using those 2 driveways to additionally add a new loading zone.
I have nothing further at this time.
Thank you. Are there any questions for the engineer? Mr. Trafficante? Mr. Trafficante, raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Could you state your name and title for the record, please?
Charles Trafficante. I'm a principal engineer and a professional engineer. I'm in employment at the City of Newark Department of Engineering. My license is active and in good standing with the State Board.
Mr. Trafficante?
Thank you, Chairman. Mr. El Musi, just for the record, to clarify, are you still looking to maintain the existing stairwell that leads to the basement within the public right-of-way?
That is correct. It will be reused.
Okay, do you know if your client ever got an easement or approval from the city to encroach that far into the public right-of-way?
We're unaware of any, Mr. Trafficante. That's one of the basis, one of your comments for number 1 and 2 on a hold arm list.
All right, so no known easements or approvals. Fair to say? Yes or no?
That's what council just said, Mr. Trafficante.
Ah.
He's unaware of any.
All right. Would you say, Ms. Musi, from a safety perspective, if you put that stairwell under the building or recessed it back, you could serve two functions. One, provide more space to provide a second required shade tree in the public right of way, and two, meet the minimum sidewalk width of 5 feet in the public right of way. Because if I read your plans correctly, you have like 4 feet 10 inches between the edge of the stairwell and the edge of the new tree pit.
I will confirm that exact dimension in 1 second. But to answer your first question, I think the main reason why we did not propose the shade tree was actually because of the existing utilities that are on the eastern side of the property, and based on that we had a plumber go out and inspect the existing lines, and based on the approximate dimension that they provided, we do believe that it would conflict with any proposed shade tree.
Oh, so even if you move the stairwell, you still don't have room to fit a tree pit?
That is correct. And so, just to confirm, I just took a measurement, and it would be 5'4" to the post, the guardrail of that basement staircase. So we would be providing the 5 foot, complying with the 5 foot minimum.
Well, if you could pull up your inset drawing floor plan, I think you did have a dimension that shows less than 5, if I'm not mistaken.
That is correct, and that's because, and I will share my screen in 1 second. That is because it's taken to the dimension is taken to the railing sticking out, which we will easily comply by making sure that it aligns with the end post.
Oh, all right. All right. Well, I guess my last question, from again, safety perspective, as mentioned in our report to the board, from a safety perspective, especially at night, since you're now removing the cellar doors, which means there will be no cover to these stairwells, you leave the stairwell open to everything up above, not just the elements, snow, rain, and whatnot, which could and will collect at the bottom of those stairs, even if you have a floor drain. But the other concern is, just even with a handrail, is there a potential for somebody like a child chasing a ball, whether during the day or night, to go between those handrails and fall down that stairwell?
I'd be more concerned about a child playing with a ball going out into the middle of Madison streets, but I mean, we could look into providing a gated entry if that would provide some level of safety.
All right. All right. I mean, again, I think it would be prudent, but again, it's just my opinion. I think it would make more sense to put it where it belongs within the building. Again, I know it exists, all right, but if you're investing this amount of money, I don't think it's that big of an ask, but I defer to the board. No further questions. Thank you.
I appreciate your comments. Thank you.
Well, this is a significant concern that Mr. Trafficante raised. And council, we're gonna need to look at that harder. Are there any other questions for the engineer? Mr. Lucy, could you explain to me again why you can't take the course of action that the city engineer first raised, and that is moving that, I think it's a Bilco door, right?
That is correct.
Moving that as he suggested.
So the proposed usage of the basement right now is a storage room, and as both the planner and the operator will testify to, there's each level, the ground floor, the second floor, could be rented to specific events, whether it be a film production or a gathering, and so access to that storage while that space, the ground floor, for example, is being used or utilized, would limit access to that storage space. So as the operators would need to pull out chairs for the event on the second floor or anything along those lines, the concern would be walking through a rented space to then access that storage space. And I think that the owner would like to maintain a direct access from outside to just from an operations perspective.
Mr. Hazel, could you state your name and title for the record?
Sure. Gerard Hazel, board planner. I guess I was not as aware that since the proposed use of the basement was changed to the storage, I now share Mr. Traficante's view about why that should not be placed into the basement. You're going to modify, not modify it, but you're going to update it, and you're going to do stuff with it, which in my mind brings it into the fair game territory of fixing the not desirable location and things of that sort. Before this was, as you know, it's going to be a speakeasy. That's not going to go forward any further. I don't see why this can't be modified. And not necessarily by putting that stair where it is now, but just have some other form of access to that area. You are proposing to put an elevator in. So I'm not sure why it's not possible to move that, because that stair does come quite a bit out into the sidewalk.
One suggestion that we were looking into is rotating that stair horizontally to
Like 90 degrees, so it goes alongside the building.
that is correct.
Again, if you're willing to do that, I don't see why, especially if you're going to just use it for storage, that's not possible to put it in the building.
Let me take a second to just confer with the client and understand their specific needs, and I'll circle back to that one.
Okay. In the interim, are there any other questions from the board for the engineer? Other questions from the board for the engineer? I have some tree questions. So Mr. El-Musi, just let me know when you're ready.
I will just add on the record that the applicant has said that they'll look into adding it at the stairs to the inside. So if that becomes a condition of approval, then we'll work with that. Just to close out the questions from Mr. Hazel and Mr. Traficante. But I'm ready for your tree question.
Mr. Traficante did ask for that as a condition of approval. Mr. Hazel, are you joining that? So as a condition of approval, counsel, on behalf of your client, will you work with our board planner and our city engineer, Mr. Traficante, to relocate the basement access to remove the safety concerns raised by our professionals?
Yes, Chair, I've confirmed that with the client. We can agree to that as a condition of approval.
To their satisfaction, correct,
That is
counsel?
correct, yes.
Great, and as a condition of approval, you also agree to comply with all conditions and requests raised by the Department of Water and Sewer on behalf of your client, is that correct?
Yes, we agree to that as a condition of approval.
And also to comply with all conditions and requests made by the Department of Engineering, except for the two issues you raised, is that correct?
Except as noted, the issues I raised, yes, correct, and the waivers that we're seeking, variances, yes.
Right, and one of those is the trees.
That is correct.
So, Mr. Lucy, how many trees are required here?
2.
And where are those trees required?
Within the building frontage.
Okay, so it's your testimony that the only requirement of trees are 2 street trees?
2 shade trees, that is correct.
And you're only going to supply 1, is that correct?
That is our current testimony. I'm happy to have the work with the applicant to scan the streets and make sure that the utilities are not in the way. And if they are not, suggest a location that might satisfy both your city engineer and your board planner. But otherwise, I think that we want to make sure that if due to existing utilities, if we're not able to provide a secondary shade tree, that we be granted the ability to tree bank the
Right.
outside tree.
And with the relocation of this Bilko door, that might make it possible also, right? Possible.
That is, we'll absolutely look into it.
So, council, as a condition of approval, would your applicant agree to meet with our professionals, a board planner, city engineer, and the city's arborist to attempt to find room for that other tree and other plantings? And then if that is not possible, the other tree is not possible, then to make the required deposit into the city's tree fund. You can read to that as a condition of approval?
Yes, Chair, we can agree to those conditions.
And I have to say that this is the first time I've heard Mr. Trafficante speak up for the trees. I'm very happy about that. Thank you, Mr. Trafficante.
I didn't want to even say I was asking for a variance on the tree.
Usually he's on the side. He's talking about line of sight. I guess I want to hear why those 2 curb cuts are needed. I guess this is not the witness to do so. Would you agree with that, Ms. Moore?
We do have a planner to be justifying why we're asking for that waiver. So I would ask for, and he's also our traffic engineer. So the answer is yes, we'll reserve
All right.
Mr.
So who are you gonna call next?
My next witness will be our architect.
I'm sorry. Are there any questions for the engineer from members of the public? I saw Mr. Robinson had his hand raised. Ms. Robinson, did you have a question for the engineer?
Mr. Chairman, no, I did not. I was just acknowledging my appreciation to Charlie's tree support in our neighborhood.
Okay, thank you. Council, who are you going to call next?
My next witness will be our architect, Adriana Sabat.
Hi, Ms. Sabat, could you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to provide to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Could you state your name, your address, and relationship to this application, please?
My name is Adriana Sabat. I'm a registered architect in the state of New Jersey. I work for Ingles Architecture and Engineering, located at 632 Pompton Ave in Cedar Grove, New Jersey. And I have testified in front of a board before.
And
have you testified in front of this board, Ms. Sabat?
No, not yet.
Well, welcome. Counsel? You want to qualify her, please, briefly?
Yes, Ms. Sabat, can you just state your educational background?
I've received a Bachelor of Architecture from NJIT, as well as my Master's in Civil Engineering.
Well, welcome home.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll accept Ms. Sabat as an expert in the field of architecture. Counsel?
So, Ms. Sabat, you've heard this application proposes what we're deeming this flexible event space and the photo production. If you can share your screen and run us through the architectural features of this existing space.
Sure thing. Okay, can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so starting on A100, we have our existing conditions of the space. The current space is very limited based on the fact that it was fit out from what was already there within the warehouse condition. We have a 2-floor space that has predominantly an open floor plan with only gender neutral 2 bathrooms on each floor. And what you're seeing on the right-hand side and the left-hand side of this existing condition is just management spaces and storage that the team has been using up to this point. There currently isn't sufficient egress out of the space. And so what you will see in our proposed floor plans was to abide by the building code when fitting out this space. So moving on to our proposed floor plans at the basement level, you'll see that we have our storage level with the existing stairs, as well as an elevator. The main adjustment that we try to have within the space is to have the space properly function in terms of life safety and accessibility. Beyond this existing stair one that we intend to keep, we are adding an additional stair to allow for adequate egress out of the space, as well as the installation of an elevator to provide accessible access to the space, to both floors and the basement. We've also upgraded the amount of restrooms in the space to abide by code based on the proposed programming of an event space and film production studio that you see within the remaining square footage boundary after including all these life safety requirements. We have done the square footage calculations to understand the occupancy and the new bathroom need required to operate in such a space. The other desire of the client was to include a street-facing cafe and future kitchen, as Marcia had mentioned. This was to hopefully engage the community, offer some sort of amenity to the public, as well as bring a connection between those operating and renting the flex space beyond and the public. What you'll see also included in the layout is a relocated office space, as the one on the second floor has been removed to make room for the means of egress. Additional storage, as well as a trash room, so that we have support for any trash that comes from the cafe operations or event space and film production studio operations. Moving on to the elevations, we have our existing conditions. Over the years, the building itself, although lackluster in current standing, we've seen that a lot of the original design intents with the ornamental brick and the large glazed openings in the facade have not been upkept. A lot of them have been closed up over the years. The facade may not appear appealing at first glance. The owner's intent is to completely restore the facade, restore it to its structural integrity for the sake of safety of pedestrians along the sidewalk, replace the entire masonry to be refreshed, and restore every opening to have that multi-pane window that this building once had. So this would be majorly restoring the building to the character that it originally had, but using that rustic element in a more modern use and something that would better serve the community. Additionally, the ground floor garage doors and cafe entry would be replaced and refreshed. The current space that we were considering for the cafe entry would also be a glazed rolling garage door to allow for a more pleasant entry at the cafe for the public. And just for reference, going back to our T100 sheet, this is the current existing condition of the building. The intent will be to replace all the brick, and through these openings that you see have been plastered up over the years, open this up, restore its original features of the beautiful glass windows, and provide something a lot more welcoming to the public.
Can I just add on that? So one of the comments on the existing nonconformity was respect to the transparency, though it's been deficient, or would that assist with any of the transparency, or those are still existing? Because there is some relief for an existing nonconformity with respect to the facade transparency.
The facade transparency, if we are going to go by these current standards, we are going to be increasing, but we are considering it an existing condition we are considering abiding by an existing condition because the windows that we would be including are something that were part of the original design of the building.
So we're not exacerbating that. You are doing some openings to
No.
or bring back the original.
Correct. So if you see here, in the existing elevations of the building, these are all currently the plastered openings that, you know, if I were to make an assumption, they probably have gotten broken over time. People have chosen not to restore them, just close them up for financial benefit. In this case, we would be restoring it to its original. We would be providing energy efficient windows, something matching the characteristic of the building.
Okay, so primarily, just a summary, respect to the space, we're bringing up the code. You're adding the elevator up to this existing space, correct?
Correct.
You're addressing ingress and egress issues in order to improve the code requirements for this property.
Correct.
I have nothing further at this time. I don't know if you have anything else, Adriana.
Nope, I'm open for questions.
Are there questions for the architect from the board? Questions for the architect from the board? Ms. Sabat, did you go over the I don't know what architects call it, the intended uses of the building with your client?
Yes.
Okay. And there are two driveways. The engineer said one goes to the first floor, one goes to the second floor. Can you show us on your drawings where those driveways come out on each of those floors?
Sure. Can we see my screen again?
Yep.
So the two driveway locations are here and here. The second driveway from the street is accessing back to the event space here, allowing for loading on the first floor. What you have going on from this portion is a sort of break line that once you access, there's a very large existing ramp that takes up the ceiling space of this portion at the first floor, but then runs underneath where we see the storage happening here. And that ramps down from the second floor event space.
So both of these ramps travel through areas that'll be populated, right?
This is the only space that has a ramp. So it's only the leftmost driveway entrance, and that is going between floors here. The second driveway entrance only accesses the first floor.
Are those doors that open up into that driveway area though?
On the second floor? Or here?
Yeah, on the right there on the second floor.
No, the slope of the existing ramp happens in such a way that this lower left corner becomes accessible space on the first floor without impeding on that ramp.
Yeah, I guess I'm a little dense today. So I'm looking at this drawing on the left.
Mm-hmm.
And I see that you pointed to a driveway that is right before the trash room. Is that correct? That's one driveway.
Correct. I'm going to see if I could try to make this as clear as possible. What you're going to see, if these were the two levels, is the ramp beginning here, meaning that the ceiling space here in section would have a sort of slope to it. If the trash room were to start around here, and bear with me as I'm not drawing to scale, you're going to have something that's doing this on the lower floors if you were to look at that trash room in this direction.
That driveway is going under the trash room?
It's the driveway going up.
Maybe it's a standard thing.
I think this is given more so the nature of what the film and production studio are going to need to be accommodating, given
So
that both.
is that event space only going to be used by the film studio?
Chair, if I may, it's Marcia. I think we do have our operator that can testify why they would need that
I
space.
appreciate that, Ms. Moore. Ms. Sabat, if you know the answer to that, I'd appreciate. Do you know if that's only going to be, that space is only going to be used by the film production?
Both spaces are meant to be used interchangeably based on how the space is rented, but I'm going to defer to the rest of our team to cover that clearly.
Okay, so I'm a little concerned. You understand my concern, right, Ms. Sabat?
Understood. I think the team will provide the clarification needed.
I hope so. Commissioner Comisanias.
I was gonna say, so it's hard to understand from the drawing. I actually attended an event at this location for an arts thing that the city was doing, but that draw it's not does the owner have a picture or something of the inside that they could share, Ms. Moore? Have a better idea? Because if you haven't been there, you have no idea what that looks like. It's just looks like there's a car is going to come running into.
So we do have interior spaces. I will check with my team if we have a picture of that specifically, but we do have some pictures. But to answer your question, let me find out if we have it of that location. I don't recall seeing that, but.
Okay, thank you. That would help.
Ms. Sabat, are you familiar with this, the area that this project is located in?
Yes, because it is my favorite Saturday night dinner spot.
Where is that, Ms. Sabat?
In the Ironbound in Newark.
Oh, okay, I was looking for a particular restaurant. I'm always looking. I'm a foodie. So, are there residences adjacent to this site?
We do have photos within the planner's testimony, but to the left there is a private residence, and then to the right we have a small business. I believe it's Ciabras.
Yeah. So, was there any plan? Was there a request for any soundproofing, interior soundproofing of the spot?
We proactively thought about it, and the owner has decided to include a decibel reader to make sure that no sound exceeds a limit that would disturb the residents adjacent.
So other than a decibel reader, there's no action that's been taken to keep sound within limits. Is that correct?
Beyond the existing conditions and the existing operation, no.
All right. Do you think that would be a prudent idea, at least on that area adjacent to the residents? You think that would be a good neighborly thing to put some kind of soundproofing there?
I think given the existing function and the lack of complaints and the client's existing relationship with their neighbors, we think that the current status is appropriate, but we can definitely confirm with the client if that's something that we can do.
Ms. Moore, I wonder, as a condition of approval, if your applicant would agree to include some soundproofing, at least on that wall adjacent to any residential use to their site.
Chair, if I can defer, I just have to confirm that with my client.
I appreciate that. Are there any other questions for the architect? And that's certainly something that you can provide, I assume, right, Ms. Sabat?
Correct. If I may,
grad, I'm sure. I have no doubt about that.
Definitely acoustics. I think acoustics are a benefit for everyone.
Great. I thought. Thank you, Ms. Sabat. Are there any other questions from the board regarding this for the architect? Are there any questions from the public for the architect? Counsel?
Chair, this time I'd like to bring my next witness, Alex Hodgkinson.
Hello, everyone. Good evening.
Mr. Hodgkinson, could you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to provide will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please state your name, give us your address and relationship to this application, please.
Alex Hodgkinson, 89 Madison Street, Newark, New Jersey, and I am the owner of the building.
Thank you. Counsel?
Mr. Hodgkinson, you indicated that you're owner of the building 89 Madison LLC, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, and who's the current operator of the site?
The current operator is ODR Studios.
And what is your relationship to ODR Studios?
Pretty much the same. Owner, operator, and enthusiast.
And how long have you served as the owner operator of ODR Studios?
Since 2018.
Okay. And how long have you owned the property under 89 Madison LLC?
I believe that was April 2023.
Okay. And just briefly, can you give us what are your duties and responsibilities with respect to ODR Studios?
Dealing with kind of operations, trying to find people to come to the space, and management, marketing, dealing with bringing the community in for certain things, and yeah, general kind of overall business operations and management of the building.
So you are familiar with this project and the variances that we're seeking tonight with respect to the event space and the film production studio, is that correct?
Sure I am, yeah.
What was the previous use of the building before you became a tenant there or owned the building? What was the previous use of the building, to your knowledge?
The building was built in 1922, and up until 1967, it was a number of things. Served as a kind of storage space. It stored. It was people used to store hay there. Then in 1967, it was mainly a transformer company. So they used to make niche small transformers, which are basically things that go in electrical machines. And yeah, that's the best of my knowledge. I can go into further detail.
So I just want to give us some background. What's ODR? Describe this for the board for those that don't know who ODR is. Can you just give us what does ODR entail?
Yeah, ODR is we basically create spaces to host and cater to the visual arts, and so what that means is we try and make spaces which are pretty and attractive for brands and individuals and companies to use for a variety of uses, mostly to cater to the film, TV, and creative world through visual communication. You know, everyone nowadays needs to communicate visually in some format, and we essentially create the spaces to allow those different entities to create that content.
So it would be fair to say that part of that ODR, when you start talking about creative spaces, would that include like fashion editorials? Would that be correct?
Yeah. Fashion editorials, documentary interviews, commercials, photo shoots for clothing brands. You know, it could be TV shows, chat shows, podcasts. Yeah, kind of any sort of thing that you can that you might watch on, you know, Netflix or something like that. If you've ever seen any documentaries that happen there that get interviewed, you know, we do a lot of, you know, things like that would be.
One of the things that you're famous for, you rent out these classic cars. Is that correct? You have some classic cars that you rent those out, these picture cars rather, the classic picture cars that you've rented out. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's a small part of what we do. We really don't emphasize that. It's just something that they're props at the end of the day, in the same way that there would be a prop, an old wooden table would be a prop.
Okay. And as I mentioned tonight, you are seeking the use variance for the event space and the film photo shoot. And in full disclosure, you've indicated that you've been at the site since 2018. Is that correct?
Correct.
And within that time, you have been using the space for some of the uses that we are seeking tonight. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And you can just tell us briefly, you sought an architect to improve the space. Is that correct? You retained Inglaze to improve the space about sometime last year. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's correct. I mean, stop me if I get too excited here, but I mean, I feel like Newark's in a really amazing place right now, and we want to improve the building to help cater. We want to create what I would call, public fronted studio space. So that's why the cafe is in there, and we want to be able to cater to the community and also run both floors. And that's why, we got in touch with Inglaze, and excited to obviously be.
And then, is it fair to say at that time they told you that to do the improvements, you realized that the photo shoot that you've been at this, or the use that you've been utilizing for 2018 was not permitted in the zone? Is that correct?
No, I didn't actually. I mean, from my understanding, we created a cool, attractive space. I didn't know that the film production stuff was. I guess it wasn't. Didn't you say earlier in the call that it wasn't really? It wasn't spelled out in anything. So that's actually was my understanding. I do realize that when you put a coffee shop in, when you're serving to the public in that sense, that you obviously need to apply to do things the right way. And that's why we got in touch with the architects, and want to put bathrooms in to help serve the cafe and that stuff. So that's why we engaged Inglaze, and here we are now, I guess.
Okay. All right. So I want to talk about the film and the photo shoot, because you indicated that you have been at this site. ODR Studios has been at the site since 2018. And that is one of the things that you do, the film and the photo studios. And just briefly, I'm going to go through the components of what it entails. So if you can just describe briefly the film and the photo studio aspect, and then I'll dive into the event space. So what would the space be used or has been used for with respect to the film and the photo studio?
Yeah, similar to what I said before. I mean, everything from photo shoots, fashion editorials, video shoots, kind of commercial work, which is obviously related to kind of advertising agencies, then TV shows and films, independent films, larger films, interviews, recorded interviews, podcasts.
Does that include like set design and lighting or any sound, like as far as the film and photo studio is concerned?
Yeah, I mean, set design is something that is included in every sort of bit of content creation. So whether it be a small fashion editorial, you obviously have set design. You don't just put the subject up against a blank nothing, and it goes all the way up until your favorite documentary that you might watch on Netflix. There is an element of set design. So that would be involved. It's obviously a creative task. And in terms of the sound, I mean, the beauty of the TV and the film production world is that everything is really controlled. It's obviously a very professional environment. It's a big industry where professionals are on set, and I don't know if anyone has been on a TV or film shoot before, but they're really, as I say, controlled environments, and that's why sound is I understand the board bringing it up, but it is pretty, is really tame and non-abrasive from my experience.
And is this usually these set designs and the film studio, is everything done inside?
Correct. Yeah, everything is done inside on the 2 floors.
Okay, and have you had any complaints with your neighbor, whether or not that be the residential neighbor immediately adjacent to you or the neighbor, the mixed-use Sierras?
No, they actually they both love us, if that matters. But no complaints.
You're also seeking tonight this multi-use, and Ms. Sabat showed the board this flexible space that the photo shoot can occur in one room or one level, and the event space could be another. What type of events, if any, are you seeking to do with respect to the event space?
The event spaces Mr. Komisas, am I saying it right? I hope so. Has been to a thing for the city there. I mean, the event side of things are basically gatherings to celebrate or recognize something, the majority of which within kind of the arts community. It could also be a birthday celebration, or a cocktail hour or a drinks hour. And the beauty of both of these floors is that when we hopefully obviously do these renovations to the first floor, there'll be a beautiful contrast between the second and the first floor, and that's why they are obviously mixed, because the aesthetic that the floors give will be different in nature. So that hence why you want the 2 floors to be both to be used for both things, events and productions.
Okay. I'm gonna go, I'll ask you a little bit later of like simultaneous use, but you all also asking for the coffee shop. So what is being proposed for that coffee shop?
Yeah, I mean, I think the coffee shop is our gateway for the public. It's a way for us to, on a day-to-day basis. Well, let me circle back. Actually, I think what's quite important and what I'm quite passionate about is most studio spaces. If anyone's been to what's called a sound stage or a studio, say in Manhattan, most studios are closed off to the public. No public are allowed in unless you are a client of the studio shooting in the studio. My vision is to create what I call a public fronted studio, which means that we welcome the public in on a day-to-day basis. And what's better than a coffee shop to do that? It is a space where I see the public using in the same sense that you might have gone to Sihana Cafe, and to create this beautiful mix of community in there from all walks of life. But then I see then people that are coming to use the studio space or coming for a gathering to then also be able to mix into that coffee shop, obviously with the right numbers and things like that. But to create this beautiful melting pot in which we are public facing and inviting people in rather than closing our doors. It's quite the opposite, and I think over the years we've been a good proponent of that in different ways. So this is just a continuation.
And the Ms. Sabat mentioned the catering kitchen. Is it fair to say that that catering kitchen will be used during production and events? For if there's an event space, and you'll have that catering kitchen, so you'll be utilizing and support your crews. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, exactly. It means that we can kind of cater to them in-house rather than things having to be brought in. And the same goes for the coffee shop, to be able to give a small selection of bites to the folks who are in the cafe.
Right. And how often do you expect each type of activity? More focusing on the production studio as well as the event space. How often would you expect this type of activity, or have seen this activity since you've been there?
Well, the 2 different questions, I guess, in there. I think, you know, if we are looking to the future, hopefully photo shoot sort of stuff and you know, four to five times a week. And that could be, you know, one upstairs and then one downstairs. Obviously, it's up to us as operators to make sure we bring in the right people in from Newark and from surrounding neighborhoods. In terms of the events, one to two a week. And again, that could be spread out between both the floors.
And do you typically lease, or does ODR the one that manage all the activities? So if someone comes for a photo shoot or an event space, you manage that, ODR Studios manage that, it's not leased to any third party?
No, we manage everything. Yeah, it's all in-house.
And you indicated that all the activities are typically inside, there are no outdoor activities, or?
No, I mean, I wish we had a big giant, you know, outdoor area, but we don't. So it's all inside.
Where do you currently park? Or if you have a production event, where do they typically park?
They park at a number of places that we have there's a parking lot directly opposite, open plan parking lot, and they can fit a pretty good number of passenger vehicles in there on a day-to-day basis. There's also St. James parking lot, which is at the top of the street, which is a multi-story parking lot on basically the crossroad of Madison Street and Lafayette. There's also more parking at a lot behind 99 Madison Street, which is a medical center. But the truth is that parking lot directly opposite at 86 Madison Street caters to any sort of day-to-day activities without issue. Now, I could allude to kind of larger production type stuff if you think that's useful.
I'm sorry to hear you.
I said I can allude to larger production type stuff if you think that's useful.
Okay, so my next question, we're talking about your experience. We want to, if you could show some of your images, your experience. You indicated that you're responsible day to day, but respect to the film photo production events, can you provide like what, if any, type of events or experience do you have in that?
Yeah, I mean, obviously running a space since I don't know if is Josh on this call. Just want to, maybe he can help share the screen. We have a PDF that we prepared.
Madam Secretary, if you can bring Josh Smith in, he's in the attendee section. If you could bring him, he's part of the team. So you've talked about that you've been there, you said since 2018. There's been involvement with the Newark community, that you've done some events there. And just briefly talk, I know one of the events you mentioned was the plant passenger installation with the Newark Museum. Josh, if you can just share your screen and just show some of the events, photo shoots of what typically it would look like to the board, that would be great. He's just sharing the screen share. He's not testifying.
Josh, why don't you, so you want to, Marsha, did you want to see examples of things inside or outside the studio?
Let's do the inside first and just show the space, the interior space of what something like this would be, a film production.
Yeah, so I mean, the first photo you see there is an independent film or short film, basically with a crew inside. They are using the natural features and then rigging up lights above it to shoot a short film.
Excuse me, counsel, was this provided to the board?
Chair, I'm going to mark it and then I'll provide the exhibits.
Yeah, let's mark this. What are we on? A3, Ms. Moore?
Actually, no, this one, this is my first exhibit for this file, so this will be A1.
A1, this is apparently it's 6 pages. Is that correct? Or 6 pictures?
6 photographs, yes.
Okay, and we're on the second, I believe.
Yes,
Thank you, counsel.
yes, thank you.
Um,
You can continue.
yeah, and then the first floor is an example of a commercial shoot, filming. I think they filmed for an exercise brand. And then Josh, if you keep scrolling down, that's a men's fashion shoot on the second floor, which again is pretty similar in style to the first 2 photos you saw, just obviously for a different purpose. This is from the same shoot. It's actually shooting up against the blocks of the old transformer blocks forms that were used, which are wooden blocks. If anyone's interested, maybe they're not. And then we can keep going down. This is an example of the fashion editorial shoot that Marsha was referring to earlier. These would go in magazines, and I think the next one is something similar. That's again a clothing brand, shooting up against the old cement wall, which is pretty cool backdrop. And then lifestyle kind of shoot there. Again, that was for an exercise company, which who were doing a shoot. And then this is from a small TV show, not really a TV show, it's a chat show that CBS were doing in relation to the soccer world and football world. And hoping they can come back
But you've also partnered, I want to bring in to like local, the Newark Art Museum that you've worked with in order. I want to talk about this pastor installation that you've worked with. Correct?
Yeah. I mean, we've had we've also had the city of Newark we've had Newark Arts in. We've I mean, the list in that regard is strong. But yeah, this is an example of us basically what we called bringing the studio to you, and we brought basically the elements which we feel are most akin to who we are as a brand, and we brought them outside the Newark Museum for a community day, and basically threw a whole bunch of plants inside the truck and then invited people to come and take portraits inside the truck. It was our way of showing our presence in the community, which we've done in ways I can keep talking about till 10 p.m.
If we can just have this one marked as A2 and just the number of pages for this image, because it's a separate.
This is A2 7 pictures, over 7 pages.
Okay. And I just wanted to, let's just focus on that, because we mentioned in my intro, we talk about collaboration in the master plan, and obviously our plan will be discussing that. Talk about your collaboration with the Newark arts and cultural community a little bit, like what involvement and how important that is to you, that since you've been there.
Yeah, I mean, it's huge. I mean, we realize where we are, not only in the Ironbound, but then in the greater city of Newark. And we realize since day one, it's been a priority to make sure we collaborate and include the community, make them feel like we're doing things to serve them. I mean, again, I can go into details, but things like figure drawings or these collaborations at the Newark Museum, or having vintage markets where Newark Arts actually, help put it on their calendar, so that we invite people into, for these call it vintage market. There's, I mean, a good number of ways in which we, dinners for Newark Arts for their festival, the Newark Arts Festival. We did a really good one I think it was in 2019, and we had them in for Vintage Market. 2024, we had Newark Arts in for a spoken word event, which was a small gathering of basically poets or spoken word artists. That was just this past October, and yeah, we've brought the truck, as you see here, to the Newark Arts Museum. We've we've had them be a part.
I just want to add, so do you believe that, or have you created like opportunities for local artists or students and businesses? Yes.
Yeah, if you actually if anyone walks by the building right now, we have a mural which I asked a local Ecuadorian artist to put on to help give a bit of color to the neighborhood as people walk by the building. But it's a mural by a guy called Diego, and he's an Ecuadorian guy, and it's really colorful, and it's pretty cool. And that's, yeah, I mean, we want to, before this became a coffee shop, we've been using it like that, for example. But yes is the answer.
I wanted to draw the attention, I don't know if we have any picture, though. Chair asked about respect to the driveways. We are asking to keep those driveways. You can explain, I don't know, perhaps, Josh, can you stop sharing your screen? Do we have any pictures other than the elevations? I don't have that in front of me, showing that driveway and how it's being utilized. The question was, we're maintaining the driveway. What kind of access or what are you using that driveway for?
Yeah, so I mean those driveways are obviously existing, and they're crucial for like when a production comes into the space to get equipment or stands, C stands into the space. That's what they're used for. This is a kind of, those gates are a delivery zone or a drop-off zone, and the one on the right, as Adriana showed before, goes into the first floor, so would allow crews to bring in the equipment on the first floor, and the one on the left, which goes up to the second floor, would do the same. We obviously have coupled that with the new plans to put in an elevator to make things even easier and abide by things like ADA. And yeah, then should I talk about the one on the coffee shop? I know that's slightly different, but still existing. That is an existing driveway, which used to be a similar in nature. It was a roll-up gate, and we intend to put a new roll-up gate. It obviously will not be used for drop-offs because it's going to be entry into the coffee shop. But I mean, imagine you're sitting in your favorite coffee shop during the summer, and a large kind of garage gate is open so that because sun does hit the front of our building every morning, as that sun rises, it will hit the coffee shop, and as you're enjoying your coffee or whatever, you can breathe the fresh air during the warmer months, and that's why we're imitating that roll-up gate, which is a garage style, but it's going to be see-through, so you can see into the coffee shop and can roll up when, as I say, the time is right.
But we have pictures of the interior space, but we don't have pictures of that area of the driveway. Is that correct? No photographs.
The area of the driveway?
The driveway that the chair asked the question. I believe Commissioner Comisano has asked that question as well.
Oh yeah, we have pictures of I mean, Adriana showed the front of the building. Do you want to see even you want to see inside those two areas?
Yes, please.
Yes.
Okay. Here we go. Let me pull up let me pull
You
up the
submitted to the board whatever we're going to see now, Ms. Moore?
Yes, I will. If we have that marked as A3.
Here we go. Share my screen.
And that
Can
would
we
be great because it's looking at 2 pictures. Okay, you explained the chairs. We are maintaining that. You indicated that's going to be delivery for like the production. Is that a ramp for vehicles to drive? Because the testimony was that there was no vehicle to drive. It's just really to carry equipment. If you can explain that and clarify that for the board, I believe the board has some questions.
Yeah, that's for deliveries, for production deliveries. Obviously, getting equipment to the second floor will be between the elevator and this. It's existing and is, yeah, 2 forms of basically getting stuff up to the second floor.
Okay.
So a truck can go up there, right, Mr. Hodgkinson?
Physically, in terms of physics, yes.
And a car can go up there, correct?
Could do.
In
Yeah.
fact, you just showed a picture of a chute, and it was a chute apparently of a car. Is that correct? Did I see that correctly?
You saw that on the first floor.
Okay.
That the first floor, which has a
Its own
driveway.
driveway, right?
Yeah, but it's on the ground floor.
Okay. So both of these floors are accessible by the driveways for cars and trucks.
No, I mean the uses of these. I think driveway is I think we're using the wrong term here because they're more delivery gates, or they're gates which are, old industrial gates which allowed obviously things to go in and out of them. Given the nature of the history of the building, the large openings is useful because when
I
you're
stand corrected. So both these are ramps that allow deliveries in and out, and those deliveries can be made by cars or trucks. Is that correct, Mr. Hodgkinson?
Yeah, I mean the way that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Council?
I have nothing further at this time.
Thank you. Are there questions from the board for the operator? Questions for the applicant from the board? Mr. Hodgkinson, what are the hours of operation for the event space?
For the event space, it will be till, let me just check my notes here because I had them written down, and I want to make sure I get them correct. The event space, so I don't.
And that's the second floor, is that correct?
No, it would be the first floor and the second floor.
Okay.
And because productions and events are kind of similar, but the productions will be can typically basically 10 or 12-hour days, and typically start at 8 a.m. And can go for 10 or 12-hour days, and then the coffee shop we plan to have open from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Daily.
7 a.m. to 3 p.m. the coffee shop?
Correct.
And that's for the public, correct?
That is for the public, correct.
But I would assume if you're having an event, some part of that will stay open for the folks who are working on the production. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, if you're talking kind of about the catering kitchen and things like that, then it will serve for those other uses. But in terms of a coffee shop which is open to the public daily, then 7 to 3 is our plan. Now, special events where we want to go later with the public, that could be a plan. But in terms of daily use, 7 to 3.
When you say special events for the public, are you talking about, I don't know, what are you talking about?
No, I mean just things inside of the events that we're going to be holding.
Would I be able to throw a party there in that space?
No, I'm talking about gatherings or figure drawing or
Will I be able to have a gathering in that space?
yeah.
And will I be able to bring in music in that space?
Bring in music, or will there be the ability to have music? Yes.
Okay. I can have dancing in that space and catering. Is that correct?
Which space are you talking about? Just to
In
make
the
sure.
event space.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. And will I be able to, will you have a liquor, or do you intend to request a liquor license here?
No.
How late will I be able to have my event? In that space? What's the latest you will allow an event to go?
The latest we'll allow an event to go is 2 a.m., but often these things end earlier. I mean, if you're having a celebration, often things end earlier. I would say around midnight, but it could go till 2 a.m. if for a certain type of celebration.
I used to could go to 2 a.m. I can't do that anymore, Mr. Hutchinson. Mr. Hutchinson, what's the occupancy of the event spaces?
So on the first floor, it's 200 and 250 is the different allowances, and the coffee shop right now.
You lost me. What's the occupancy on the first floor?
The first floor is 200.
200. Okay.
The second floor is 250.
Okay.
And the coffee shop is 20.
Mr. Hopkinson, you tell me about the production vehicles. You wanted to tell us about it before. I want to give you a chance to show us and tell us about production vehicles. And you know, right as you get ready to do that, am I correct that there's been a lot of productions or shooting in the streets of Newark? And I noticed that there's all the catering is from outside Newark. Am I correct there? I don't know if you're aware of this.
Yeah, no, I'm aware of. So I mean, what you're referring to is large productions, and when those large productions shoot on the street or around the city, then they bring their own, you know, they bring their own catering, and I don't know if this is, well, this is something that I'm pretty proud of, is that when we have our own in-house catering, particularly for the stuff which is a bit smaller than what you're referring to, we'll be able to cater within the space, and obviously that creates jobs and opportunities and a chance for us to cater within Newark, which really is the narrative which we're all about at ODR is you know, flying the flag here for Newark, and I can
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that. And I'm sure that you'll have a diverse workforce. Can you tell me about the production vehicles?
Yeah, which production vehicles are you referring to exactly? Like in terms of if a
The ones you were going to talk to about.
Production vehicles. Oh, you mean in terms of the parking and stuff?
Yes.
I can't remember mentioning that, but so a production vehicle kind of rolls up, and
What's the largest size of production vehicle that you would expect at this site?
I think what Suf mentioned earlier was a box truck. I'm not a box truck expert, but I think it was like 20 I forget what the exact measurements were, but something which it will fit within those curbside fittings. I don't know, what do you call them? Entrances. And
You've been operating for 7 years at this site, correct?
No, yeah, 7 years. Correct, 2018.
Okay, I thought you were gonna say longer for a minute there. So you've been operating 7 years. Now that you're gonna legalize your operation, is this also gonna be an expansion of operations at the site?
It's going to be a growth of the offerings in terms of, opening a coffee shop, and investing in the first floor to allow us to expand our offerings and be able to do more.
Yeah, parking has really got to be a concern here, right? Are there any other questions from the board for the applicant? Questions from the board for the applicant? I see none. Are there questions from the public for the applicant? If so, please use the raised hand feature. Council?
Chair, at this time, I'd like to bring our traffic engineer and Matthew Seckler. Mr. Seckler will be testifying both capacity tonight.
Hi, and excuse me, Council, what was that?
He will be testifying both for traffic engineer as well as our planner.
Thank you. Mr. Seckler, could you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to provide to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Please state your name, give us your address and relationship to this application.
My name is Matthew Seckler. I'm with Stonefield Engineering Design. Address is 92 Park Avenue in Rutherford, New Jersey. I'll be acting as the traffic engineer and professional planner for this application. My licenses are still in good standing as both an engineer and a planner.
In the state of New Jersey, is that correct?
In the state, yes, in the state of New Jersey.
Ms. Seckler is well known to this board. We'll accept him as an expert planner and traffic engineer. Council.
Thank you, Chair. So, Mr. Seckler, your firm was retained by the applicant to prepare a traffic impact and parking assessment. I know you're acting in dual capacity tonight, but if you can just start by explaining your methodology, the report was provided, and then we can dive in into the planning testimony.
Absolutely. We first prepared and submitted a report that was dated September 4th, 2025. We later revised it, dated October 30th, 2025. Changes were generally related to comments raised at meetings with the board's professionals to kind of address some of their concerns and comments. As part of the traffic and parking assessment report, we focused on two main things. One is the trip generation or traffic impacts of a potential project like this. And the other piece was the parking impacts, which I know the chairman had just alluded to in terms of their parking concerns. I'll start with initially the trip generation or the traffic generation of this site. This site, it's important to note its location at Madison Street. It's basically it's two properties in from Ferry Street. It's located just under a half-mile walk from Penn Station, and there's bus service that runs along Ferry Street. So this is a site that is well suited for mass transit, which can be utilized by either the workers of the building or potential visitors of the building as well. Madison Street is a one-way road, heads towards Ferry Street, so in that northern direction. And as was mentioned, there is parking on both sides of the street, although like many ironbound streets, very difficult to find on-street public parking. In terms of traffic counts, we did do counts on Friday, October 24th, 2025, from 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. to kind of capture that potential event space peak period, as well as Saturday from October 25th, 2025, again from 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. Now, you heard from the applicants and the earlier witnesses. What we're looking at here is a mix of spaces, a hybrid type use here. We have the coffee shop, and then the remainder of the building is, can be flexible where it can be used for art and production, or can be used for event space type operations. As a traffic engineer, I look at those type of uses. I identify the coffee shop as really being a neighborhood use. Most likely, all the users that would be going to that type of site, they're walking to the site. It's serving the community. It's serving the Ironbound district. People that live in the area or walking in the area or shopping in the area, they'd be using the coffee shop. Really not a high generator from a traffic standpoint. The event space, the production area, if it's used for a photo shoot or or a podcast, things like that. I would say limited traffic generation. Not a lot of coming and going. You have obviously the event, the setup, the people, lights, the operators. They all have to be there. But in terms of trip generation, the highest we would expect would be that event space. That's when you get, and you heard from the applicant, but 200 people on the ground floor, 250 people on the second floor. Again, very rare that you'd have both of them filled with two separate parties at the same time, but that would be, clearly the max amount of trips you would get would be during that time period. Now, when it comes to event spaces, we've studied and looked at a number of event spaces, both in urban areas and suburban areas. One thing we've been noticing time after time is less and less people driving themselves to these type of event spaces. As people typically are, utilizing Uber, Lyft, things of that nature. Or again, in a spot like this, you can utilize mass transit, or if it's an event serving the community, if it's a local Newark event, you may have people that are just kind of coming by from the nearby neighborhood and wouldn't necessarily need to all drive. So when you have 250 people filling up a space, it's not 250 individual cars. You typically look at a suburban site, one car for every 3 or 4 people. And an urban site where you have a little bit more mass transit, that could go down to one car or one trip for every 6 or 7 people when you're looking at that trip generation. Now, we did our analysis and we looked at, clearly the most difficult turn around here is Madison Street, making a left turn onto Ferry Street. Any left turns onto Ferry Street, very difficult to make. However, with this added traffic, we're not substantially making it a more time-consuming or difficult turn. And the other thing to remember is, as events end, if event is ending at 10 o'clock at night, you see much less volumes on the roadway than you would, earlier in the day or during your kind of rush hour peak periods. But again, we did do a traffic impact study that your offices did review, your professionals did review, and we do agree to make any of the changes that Mr. Trafficante had recommended, but we did provide a detailed level of service analysis, and again, identified that left turn onto Ferry being the most difficult turn, but still would not be substantially impacted by this proposed development. I would also note, as part of our analysis, we did assume the full 450 people event space, 200 downstairs, 250 upstairs. Well, that is obviously, a rare occurrence for this space, or potential for this space. If you have a mix of uses, just one event at a time, or, production, it would be much less traffic than the analysis that we anticipated. The second aspect was the parking. And again, we reviewed the parking in the area. Again, the Iron Barn area, I know the board is well familiar. Difficult to find on-street parking. We did do your typical, review of parking in the general area, looking, on a Friday and Saturday night, and found a total of 7 parking spaces out of 206 available on the street. So again, we're not here relying on on-street parking to satisfy this development or this use. The site itself, from a zoning perspective, is required to have 10 parking spaces. And that's based on your ordinance, which requires 1 parking space for every 500 square feet of event space, but you exclude the first 3,000 square feet. So I know you heard numbers of 200 people, 250 people. Per ordinance, we only need to have 10 spaces. And again, I believe the applicant at the beginning of this hearing, it was mentioned by our counsel that we would agree to a condition that would provide for a lease for 10 off-street parking spaces to satisfy the zoning requirement. But understanding that we likely will have more than 10 people driving to a 200-person event or a 250-person event, we did also study the St. James parking garage, which is a publicly available, publicly used parking garage. And we did find on the time periods that we studied, on a Friday and Saturday night, there was 130 parking spaces available in that garage, which would likely be able to satisfy our peak events if we have them at our time. I would note, just to be clear, this I think was somewhat alluded to within the engineering review letters. We do understand that that parking garage does have parking for other potential buildings. I think a hotel was recently approved. I don't know if it was by the planning board or the zoning board. That does account for some of the parking, some of their parking supply will be found in the St. James parking garage as well. But again, I do believe that based on the car utilization for an event space, especially in an urban environment, that there would still be sufficient parking in the St. James parking garage for what I'd say is a more realistic parking demand versus the city's own ordinance, which is 10 parking spaces. I'm not here to say 10 spaces is all we need, but that is all we need from a zoning perspective. So again, from a traffic and parking standpoint, I just want to reemphasize, we did do traffic counts on a Friday and Saturday night. We did provide the board and the board's professionals with the level of service analysis and have found that the additional traffic associated with this site, even under that extreme case of having 2 events at one time, both maxing out, does not significantly impact those difficult left turns onto Ferry Street. And then in terms of parking, we will agree to have an off-street parking agreement to satisfy our zoning requirement, but the realistic parking demand would be satisfied most likely in the St. James parking garage located 1 block south of here on Lafayette Street and Madison Street. So again, Council, I'd be happy to answer questions if you want me to answer questions here or get into planning as well.
Okay, before you get into the planning testimony, so the testimony for Mr. Hutchinson talk about offering more. We've mentioned that he's been using the space for event space or the production, and the offering would include this cafe. It's a relatively small cafe space, is that correct?
Correct. Yeah. I mean, I think, the one use that's being added here over, what's been operating over the last 7 years is the cafe space. Cafe, really little parking or traffic demand from a car perspective. Again, it's a very small space. It's expected to serve the neighboring community and kind of be a neighborhood asset. People that would walk by, maybe bike by, that would utilize that area. Other than that, the uses we're talking about, the event space or production space, all of that square footage is not changing at all. Obviously, the applicant, by making some of these improvements, adding an elevator, things making it more accessible, may make it more attractive for someone else to rent or to utilize for an event, but they're really not, adding any square footage or any extra intensity to those 2 uses.
And so in speaking with them, we're more so other than the cafe, more on legalizing that use, correct? Is that more terms, as Chair Font would say, more in order to legalize the use that's been existing for us?
Correct. And again, I think there is some benefit. I would never recommend, people to just open sites and then see how it works. But again, one of the benefits is we have 7 years worth of kind of information about how this site would function. And, again, I don't think that this is the cause of parking issues in the Ironbound. And I believe the applicant has had parking agreements in the past with some of the offsite parking lots and, has obviously had successful events and had successful production shoots in this space with the parking that currently exists.
If it's the board preference to ask questions with respect to the traffic, or Mr. Seckler can testify with the planning.
Any questions for Mr. Seckler regarding traffic? Mr. Trafficante.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Seckler.
Good evening.
Do you have a copy of the review memo prepared by myself to the zoning board dated November 6th regarding the traffic and parking assessment report dated September 4th, 2025, last revised October 30th, 2020?
Correct. I do have that.
Could you address, I guess, comment 3 on page 2? It starts on page 1 under 3 regarding the IT trip generation manual. And if you go to the second paragraph on page 2, addressing the level of service for Madison Street and Ferry Street along Madison Street, northbound. If I'm reading the traffic parking and assessment report, if I'm correct, and please, if I'm not, please clarify and correct me. The level of service for Madison Street and Ferry Street along Madison Street, northbound, shall deteriorate during the weekday evening peak hour from a level of service C to a level of service of D, which, if I'm not mistaken, is like a grade. A being great, B good, C average, D poor, all the way down to F. Madison Street is a one-way, one-lane road with on-street parking permitted on both sides, with restrictions on Wednesdays from 12 to 4 and Thursday from 12 to 4. Applicant shall provide testimony to the board as to whether or not 81 vehicles that are expected to arrive depart from this location in the weekday evening peak hour will cause traffic to back up into Ferry Street or to back up into Lafayette Street. Can you address that, Mr. Seckler?
Certainly. And so just to give the board some information, what we have measured is that intersection, and I think you're referring to the Ferry Street, Madison Street intersection, In the current conditions, that's in 2025, when we did our counts out there, it functions at a level of service C, as Mr. Trafficante mentioned, with a delay of 23.4 seconds. The threshold from going from C to D is at 25 seconds. So once you click over from 23.4 to 25, you go from C to D. That actually occurs even without any development on this site. So what we do is we look at 2025, we did our counts, then we look at 2027 with a kind of growth in the community, growth in the area, but not our development being in operation. Just general growth of Newark would actually, in the next 2 years, make that intersection go from C to D on its own. And then obviously our traffic on top of that makes it deteriorate more in that D range. So again, it goes from C to D just naturally, just on more building going on in Newark, more cars on the road every day in Newark. But our development is not the trigger that makes it go from C to D. That said, I would also note that, this traffic study does look at kind of a 450 seat event space, which again, it would be a rare occurrence that would basically trigger that level of car and that level of traffic that we discussed, which again would be very rare that it would occur both sites or both uses at the same time. And in addition to that, again, the key here is that when we did our counts, this site is in operation. So we already know whatever traffic this user has been, adding to the streets of Newark, really we're already on the roadways today in 2025 when we did our counts. So that level of service D, I would say, would be a conservative estimate. But again, that intersection is going to level of service D, whether we do one thing to the site or not. But Mr. Trafficante, you are right about that. That level of service D, though, does not create backups from, let's say, Ferry Street all the way Lafayette Street. The queuing onto Ferry Street, obviously more so when you're trying to make a left turn, would not significantly change with the inclusion of this development. I'd also note, and I think this is important with this type of use, is you heard from the engineer that we are looking at creating like a loading space, basically in the area where the two driveways are that access the building. That I think is very important for use like this because you have such a high amount of people that would be taking Uber, Lyft, rideshare, those type of uses. Those vehicles, those drop-offs can occur in that loading area and not in the road itself. I notice a lot of congestion that occurs near event areas because the Uber drops off like in the lane and causes everyone to back up while two people slide out the back seat, got to grab their bag and get in. When you have an actual loading space, which we're proposing here, it allows for that delay, that stoppage to be off the main flow of traffic, and again helps to keep the flow of traffic on Madison Street clear.
Second question. I believe it's on page 6 of 6 of your traffic impact study. You have all these tables: weekday evening peak hour, Saturday peak hour. All right. For conservative level of service delays, it looks like, if I'm reading it right, these analyses under table 5 and table 6, all right, are for I guess a 250 event and a 450 event. Is that right?
Those tables are based on the 450 event.
Okay.
One is for 5 is the weekday evening, so a Friday evening, and table 6 would be if it was a Saturday evening.
All right. And is it fair to say that when it says lane group eastbound left through, would be along Lafayette Street at the intersection with Madison Street? And when it says northbound left through right, that would be Madison Street at the intersection of Lafayette Street?
Correct. For tables 5 and 6, yes, and 7 and 8 would be similar for Ferry and Madison.
All right. That being the case, items 8 on page 2 of my review memo and item page 9 on page 3 of my review memo. Was there was westbound traffic taken into account? Westbound right through traffic along Lafayette at the intersection of Madison Street during both the weekday evening peak hour and the Saturday evening peak hour based on an event space for a conservative 450 seat event? Because it seems like it is two-way traffic, if I'm not mistaken, along Ferry Street and Madison Street. Is that correct?
Correct. But the right turns from, let's say, Lafayette, they someone have the right of way there. But again, we definitely could add that analysis. As I mentioned, we'd be happy to address any of the outstanding technical comments in a resubmission. Should the board act favorably, we'd have no issue making those revisions as part of a compliance plan.
And in your professional opinion, do you think the level of service would change for, I guess, westbound traffic at those two intersections, either on a Friday peak hour or a Saturday peak hour?
So the volume was accounted for in the analysis, but we didn't account for, let's say, Lafayette delay going, making a right turn onto Madison, because technically they have the priority, they have the right of way. So they really don't have any delay unless a pedestrian crosses the street. That's the only reason why they would stop in that case. But again, I don't believe it would make any substantial change to the results of our report, but we would provide that analysis.
All right. All right. No further questions. Thank you.
Mr. Seckler, would it be helpful if the applicant tried to make some agreement for additional parking, if possible, with St. James parking lot that you referred to?
I guess my answer would be yes. However, the type of operation that they have, if they have, let's say, a month straight where it's just kind of photo shoots and very, I would say, low traffic usage, then they'd have an agreement for parking that they likely wouldn't use.
You are bursting Mr. Hodgkinson's bubble. He sees the production going all day and parties of 450 people all night, as many nights as he can get them. That's his vision here. So it would help if he attempted to get some kind of agreement.
100%. I think that we've agreed to at least get the 10 spaces that were required, but I do agree if he does have, let's say, events on, Friday nights and it's going to be 200 people, having either a valet or some offsite agreement for specific events, I think are more important than having it for, let's say, a universal, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day agreement. I think for certain events on certain nights, it probably makes sense to have some sort of arrangement.
Condition of approval, would your applicant agree to work with the board planner and the city's engineer to come up with a plan to alleviate parking as needed by using valet service and having some arrangement with parking lots such as St. James?
If he could just shake his head, I just want to make sure he's agreeable to that with the valet, Mr. Hodgkinson. Yes, we can agree to that. I just want to make sure that that's
And since it is Mr. Hodgkinson's desire to have all-night parties till 2 a.m, 450 people, I won't be able to stay there that late. But what about the soundproofing? Did we get a final answer on the soundproofing? Is that something that Mr. Hodgkinson would agree to do?
Yes. Yes.
Great, thank you. Are there any other questions for the traffic engineer? If none, we'd like to hear an efficient presentation on planning.
That is correct.
Absolutely. And I will be efficient and likely speak much faster than I should. This application is for a use variance. We are proposing 2 uses that are not explicitly permitted within the MX1 zone, which is the zone that we're in. The MX1 zone is the mixed use residential and commercial zone. So it does recognize the fact that while there may be a resident next to us, but there is the ability to have commercial type uses in this area. Some examples of those commercial uses that are permitted here is the cafe that we are proposing to add to this site, artisan and craft space, breweries, convenience stores, fish and meat markets, fitness centers, laundromats, private clubs. So a mix of uses that have wide ranges of potential impacts, whether they may be open late at night, early in the morning. Some of those uses make noise. Some add a lot of traffic to the roadway. So again, the MX1 zone in which we are in does recognize that there is an ability to have activity besides just residential uses in this area. It's also important to note that about 100 feet away is Ferry Street. That is the C2 zone. So obviously a commercial zone in which there is a large amount of activity here. So we are currently in kind of a transition area. We are in those first couple of properties backing off the C2 zone as we enter this mixed use residential zone. We heard from the applicant that this building is over 100 years old. I think it's very important to understand that when looking at this application, because the city of Newark, as well as the state in general, and good planning purposes, planning ideas is the idea to adaptively reuse space. That is, that space, that building there, this, has been part of the Ironbound for a century here. It kind of has seen, Ironbound grow, had that industrial background. This building itself had that industrial background that was familiar to the Ironbound's history. And now we're kind of taking it to a new type of use, kind of switching it from almost like I'd say dirty industrial to clean industrial, kind of that production space, that new space that we're seeing kind of pop up more and more in New Jersey. And I think that your ordinance doesn't even recognize that film production is even a use, even though you guys have listed, I think, 150 of them in your ordinance. It never had recognized this type of use. And we're seeing more and more in the state of New Jersey. Clearly, it's been incentivized through tax credits in the state, but they recognize that film production increases jobs. It does allow for jobs for local trades and helps support local businesses, whether it's local hotels, local food options, and the like. So again, we do believe that the film industry, the production space is clearly aligned with the goals of not only the city's master plan, but at the state level as well. In terms of the event space, you've seen the event space pictures, the integration they've had with Newark artists. And I believe that, again, this event space, when we've looked at it, does not create a negative impact as it relates to traffic. We believe, based on the conditions that the chairman has kind of addressed or suggested, will have limited impacts as it relates to parking. As it relates to noise, again, we've heard the board's concerns and we'll work with them on that soundproofing. So we, again, do not believe this has an impact as it relates to noise, or will not have an impact as it relates to noise. In terms of light, air, open space, the building is staying as it was, that, as it's been the last 100 years. So we do not see a substantial negative impact as it relates to the noise of the site, the noise and lighting of the site. Again, looking at the positives, your zone plan suggested to support Newark's diverse and vibrant arts and culture scene. I believe this clearly does. It encouraged the zoning code to allow and encourage Newark to be a 24 city for arts and entertainment. So, Chairman, we're not going all 24 hours with the arts and entertainment here. We will shut down at 2 a.m. But again, we are aligning with the goals of the land use plan to create a vibrant city for arts and entertainment. And it does also talk about examining opportunities for mixed use zoning where you could have hybrid businesses. And they suggest pop-up retail, showrooms, light manufacturing, maker mixed use co-working spaces. And again, I think that's what you're kind of seeing here, is taking this old space and kind of finding this kind of hybrid mix of uses that I think benefits not only the Ironbound, but the city at large. So overall, as part of this project from a use perspective, I believe this site is inherently well suited to support this site because this building is already in place. It is a building that has high ceilings. It has pretty much an open floor plan, which allows it to be utilized well for production space as well as for the event space. So again, I believe this site is particularly well suited, and the site is inherently suitable for this type of use. In terms of the other variances, we are seeking a C variance as it relates to parking. But again, we've indicated we would have an agreement for the zoning requirement of 10 parking spaces with some other offsite lot. The remainder of the variances that we're seeking are ones that are, existing nonconformities. And again, it relates to this building that's been built prior to zoning being at a over 100-year-old building. I would also like to note that in terms of purposes of planning, I would like to address the fact that this meets a number of the purposes of planning, one of which is the visual environment. One, we are adding at least one street tree, and if our engineers could figure it out, 2 street trees in front of the site. We saw the cleanup of the facade, maintaining the character of the facade, but cleaning it up so that we have a little bit more inviting area to the cafe and entry area, and also fixing some of the facade brickwork. So we are advancing purposes of Mr. Land Use Law as it relates to the visual environment. And we also enhancing the, I would believe, purpose J, which relates to conservation of historic sites. I think it's important. While we could knock down buildings and add a pretty generic 3-story residential building with retail on the bottom, here we're keeping something that has been a fabric in the Ironbound community and reutilizing this building and kind of making an interesting space out of it. So I do believe we're advancing purpose J of municipal land use law with this application. So overall, I believe the variances we're seeking, both the D variances and the C variances, can be granted by this board.
And just quickly, Mr. Sackler, we did note that there are some, again, existing nonconformities, and the result of this application, we're certainly not exacerbated. In fact, we're also addressing some of the transparency, right? Correct?
Correct. And again, as part of this application, we also bring the building up to code, ADA compliance, fire suppression, things that, I think are really a benefit to the community, being able to maintain a building like this and bring it to modern state inside.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the board for Mr. Seckler as the planner? I just want to make clear that one of the conditions of approval, although we've gone beyond it, but there will be a requirement that the 10 spaces that are required are provided in addition to the other parking requirement. That's something your applicant agrees to. Is that correct, Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Thank you. Are there any other questions for the planner? Questions for the planner? You have any other witnesses, Ms.?
I do not. That concludes my presentation tonight, my witness.
Are there any, this is the time for any member of the public to make a statement regarding this application. If you care to make a statement regarding this application, please use the raise hand feature at the bottom of your screen. If you're on the telephone, please press *9. Please do so now. Ms. Lopez, can you turn on your screen and your video and your audio, please?
Hi, good
Hi.
night, everybody.
Hi. Could you raise your right hand, please?
Yes,
Do you swear or affirm this testimony you're about to provide be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please state your name, give us your address, and your statement for the record, please.
My name is Maxie Lopes. My address is 683 Bergen Street, Newark, New Jersey. I myself am a community leader. I'm the founder of Culture and Soul Productions. We host regular events at ODR Studios, and I just wanted to say, this is one of the most beautiful spaces that I've ever had the pleasure to work with, and I know that this addition and renovation will just continue to add to the artistic ecosystem. I myself am somebody who is looking for more spaces like ODR, and we've been happy to find this home. And I think it adds that element of high standard that I think our city already has the potential to demonstrate. So I'm in full support, and I'm excited for what this means for everybody involved, including our community, and we fully stand behind them.
Thank you, Ms. Lopes. Are there any other members of the public who care to make a statement at this time?
Mr. Ofan, we do have other members. If I think it's Miss Amia. Could you?
I don't see any hands. If you care to make a statement, please use the raised hand feature. I'd ask you to do so now.
They haven't been let in the meeting, which is why they can't raise their
They
hand.
still raise their hands.
Oh.
And I see no raised hands. Council?
Thank you, Chair. You've heard.
Sorry, we have people who are trying to raise their hands.
Alex, they didn't raise their hand. Just let me finish up. You can't talk at this point. Sorry. Chair, we presented evidence tonight. We presented testimony from credible experts, the applicant, the operator, that this site for this type of use is suitable. This space has been utilized for the last 7 years. It's notable that tonight we don't have any objectors opposing this application for someone that's been beneficial and contributing to the Newark neighborhood and who wants to continue to contribute to this neighborhood. He's indicated that he's advocating for Newark. So when you're talking about the purposes of zoning in order to be beneficial and improving the building by providing elevators to bring it up to code, the space is occupied. It's been occupied, and it works. As far as the use itself, as far as the offerings, it's an additional 325 square feet of a cafe space. So I believe the applicant, from a land use standpoint, has met both the positive and the negative criteria. Our expert, Mr. Seckles, indicated from a traffic standpoint that this would not be a substantial detriment to the neighborhood. I would ask that the board approve this application.
Thank you. We're now in discussion. May I have discussion from the board? Commissioner Comesañas.
Thank you for the presentation. I've never met Mr. Hodgkins, but you have a beautiful space. I've been there before for events, all cultural events. Puerto Rican, it was a Puerto Rican celebration. We got to see a Bomba Plena band there. So they do a lot of community stuff. I think it's almost existing non-conforming use. If you didn't know that space was there, you wouldn't know that it was an event space since 2017, in my opinion. And I walk down that street frequently. I like it. I like what you've done in the community. That you came here and didn't try to change the culture of the community, but you tried to enhance it using this space. So I'm heavily in favor of this application because you've done a great job of being a good steward of your neighborhood. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Are there any other comments from the board? Other comments from the board? Yeah, I would just say that, you operated here 7 years illegally. That was not being a good neighbor. And I think that I would dissuade anyone from violating our laws by operating in violation of our ordinances. It is not a good thing to do. It should not enhance the proofs that are required of this board. So I give you no credit for doing that, for operating illegally, for violating the laws. I do appreciate that now, for whatever reason, whether it's for seeing a greater business ability, that you're here to comply with the laws. I thank Ms. Moore for her usual thoroughness of her application here. I appreciate the applicant and Ms. Moore working to comply with our requests. Thanks for finally agreeing to comply with our laws. I hope you'll do so quicker in the future. Are there any other comments from members of the board? Other comments from members of the board? If none, may I have a motion, please?
Chair, motion to approve ZBA. I just lost it.
25-17, Commissioner.
With all conditions mentioned on the record.
We have a motion to approve with conditions. Commissioner Comesañas, may I have a second?
Second.
Motion Comesañas, second Cobian. Call the roll, please.
Member Hardesty.
Member Hardesty, you are muted.
Member Hall.
Yes.
Member Comesañas.
Yes.
Member Jones.
Yes.
Member Cobian.
Yes.
Vice Chair Munford.
You're muted, Vice Chair.
Yes.
Member Hardesty.
Yes.
Chair Alfont.
Yes, Council, I'm going to ask if you would agree to a conditional preliminary and conditional final site plan approval. That condition being that your applicant comply with all conditions set forth to the with our to the acceptance of our board staff and city staff. Is that agreeable to you?
Yes, Chair, that is agreeable.
We have a motion for preliminary conditional and preliminary final site plan approval.
Motion.
Motion, Comisarios, may I have a second?
Second.
Second, Hall, call the roll, please.
Member Comesañas,
Yes.
Member Hall,
Yes.
Member Hardesty,
Yes.
Member Jones,
Yes.
Member Cobian,
Yes.
Vice Chair Mumford,
Yes.
Chair Font.
Yes. Your application and conditional preliminary and final site plan approval have been approved. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank
Call the
you so
next
much.
case, please.
Have a great
Thank you, Ms. Moore.
Thank you.
Call the next case, please.
The time is now 9:03 p.m. The next item on tonight's agenda is ZBA-25-20, located at 149-151 Jackson Street, Block 1985, Lot 24 in the East Ward. The applicant is Manuel Valente. In the MX1 zone, the applicant proposes the conversion of a 3-family into a 4-family dwelling. Applicant is seeking C variances for insufficient off-street parking and insufficient lot size. Site plan approval is not required.
Mr. Velozzi, is your entire team in?
Yes, they are.
Okay, this is application ZBA 25-20, 149, 151 Jackson Street. If there are any objectors to this application, please identify yourselves by using the raised hand feature on your screen. The Board of Adjustment made the following findings of fact with respect to this property. It's located in Newark's Brown neighborhood on the western side of Jackson Street between Ferry and Lafayette Street. The total site area is approximately 3,259 square feet. The surrounding land uses consist of detached dwellings, an industrial property, and a commercial establishment. Counsel, your appearance for the record, please.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, everyone. Noemi Velozzi on the application ZBA-25-20 for the property located at 149-151 Jackson Street. Mr. Chair,
you're only seeking C variances here, correct?
That's correct, Mr. Chair. It's
Thank you.
basically
I'm sorry.
a property that's been used as a 4-family and recently found out it's only a 3, so that's why we're here. I did receive Mr. Hazel's updated report dated November 7th of 2025, and we will comply with all the conditions in the report as a condition of approval. I have Mr. Fernandez as my first witness.
Hold on, Mr. Hazel?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I just want to put on the record my revised report. I'm not sure if it got to the board as yet because I did issue it quite late this afternoon, that this application does not require site plan approval.
Okay. And they're only C variances.
Correct.
Okay. Ms. Fernandez, could you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear affirm testimony about to provide be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please state your name, give us your address in relationship to this application, please.
Jorge Fernandez, Fernandes, registered architect, business address 75 Parkhurst Street, Newark, New Jersey.
Counsel.
Mr.
And I see no raised hands from objectors. I'm sorry, counsel.
Mr. Fernandez, is your license current?
Yes, it is.
And again, I apologize again. That was, I'm thinking about parties of 450 people. Ms. Fernandez is well known to this board. He's just told us his license is in full force and effect. He's well known to this board. We'll accept him as an expert in the field of architecture. Thank you, counsel.
Mr. Fernandez, can you take us through the plans on this matter?
Certainly. I'll start with the existing conditions. I mean, this is the building in question. Again, it's a two-story structure. It has a basement, and it's effectively being used as a four-family. There are two apartments downstairs, two apartments upstairs. And we are not proposing to do any intervention or construction in this building. It is to remain as is. I'll show now the floor plans. So start with the site plan. Again, it's a slightly irregular parcel. It's 35.20 feet in the front, but only 29.99 in the rear. So it does taper off a bit in the southern property line, and therefore it gives us a lot area variance where 3,500 square feet is required. We have 3,259 square feet. And there are some other variances, such as the side yard setback on the southern property line at 2.1 feet, where 0 feet is prevailing. That is also an existing non-conforming variance, as well as some variances for lot coverage by the building, impervious lot coverage, and obviously parking. The building doesn't have any parking. And also the south side elevation in terms of glazing. Yeah, there's a variance there. The building is predominantly in the front half of the property. We do have a rear yard that has grass and some paved material. There is a tree, two trees currently in that rear yard. They seem to be in decent shape, so I believe they're going to remain. The rear yard will also be for where the trash is being stored, so that will remain as it's being used. The floor plans that I have here are the existing first and second floors. So as I showed the picture earlier, we have the center entrance that gives way into a corridor, and from that corridor we access the apartments on the left and on the right. That's apartment 1 and 2. You come in from the kitchen. You have a bedroom and a bathroom off of the kitchen, and then a living room, and then another bedroom in the front of the first floor. This is the typical railroad style flat, and that was common in Newark many years ago. This is, I mean, I was in each of these apartments, the second floor as well. We have apartment on one side and on the other side, where this one on the left here, you come in through the living room, and then you have a bedroom in the front, and then you have the kitchen and another bedroom in the rear and a bath. Same thing for the opposite side, where you come in through the living room, bedroom in the front, and another bedroom in the rear, and bathroom and kitchen. I visited the building. It looked to me like it was being used this way for quite some time, by the nature of the appliances, the cabinetry, even the paint on the walls. It looked like it was a building that's been used this way for quite some time. I did visit the basement as well. I know I'm not showing it on plans, but the basement really doesn't have the ceiling height for a habitable basement. It is right now being used as storage, tenant storage, mechanicals. It is that's what it's being used for. It's not intended to be used for habitation, as it doesn't even have decent windows, as you saw in the front picture. So the intent of this application really is to formalize it as the four-family that I believe it is, as when I visited. So that pretty much concludes my testimony. I'm open to any questions.
Anything further from this witness, Mr. Willoughby?
Nothing further, Mr. Chairman.
We're open. Are there questions from members of the board? for Mr. Fernandez. Questions for Mr. Fernandez from members of the board. Mr. Fernandez, I have two questions. These are as-built drawings then, is that correct?
Yes.
And Ms. Fernandez, in your expert opinion, when do you think this, was this converted to a four-family? And if so, when, in your opinion, do you think that happened?
I mean, just judging by it and my experience in the ironbound section, especially, it could have been somewhere in the 60s, 50s, around that time.
Thank you. Any further questions for Mr. Fernandez? Council?
Mr. Chairman, that concludes our presentation.
Mr. Velosi, did you get a copy of our the report from our planner?
I did, Mr. Chairman.
And as a condition of approval, you agree to comply with all recommended conditions of approval set forth therein?
I already stated that, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, well,
It's been a long night. It's been a long night.
I'm not used to these long nights anymore on this board.
I think the bow tie threw you off.
The bow tie always throws me off. It just, you know, bow ties, I would outlaw bow ties, and I'm glad to hear you jump right in there. Are you submitting, Ms. Velosi?
I am.
Well, thank you for that. We're now in discussion. May I have discussion from the board? Commissioner Riviero.
It seems pretty straightforward for me. It seems like the applicant is trying to make it right for what was done many years ago. Well, we know, I guess, the 4 units are rented. So let's try to make it right. Make sure the families that are renting those properties, those units are safe. So they could comply in many ways. And I will be in favor of this application.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Covian.
I was going to say the same thing. It's pretty straightforward, and I'm also in support of this application.
Thank you. Any other comments from the board? If none, may I have a motion, please?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve. Comisañez, may I have a second?
Second.
Second, Cobian. Call the roll, please.
Member Hardesty.
Yes.
Member Comesañas.
Yes.
Member Jones.
Yes.
Member Rivero.
Yes.
Member Cobian.
Yes.
Vice Chair Mumford. Chair Font.
Yes. Your application has been approved. Thank you. And aren't you glad you stayed until the end? Thank you. Where there are no more applications, Council Plata, are there resolutions to memorialize?
Yes, 2.
First,
ZBA 20-51, so 11-19 Herbert Place.
are there any proposed revisions or dissents? Hearing none, call the roll, please.
Member Hardesty.
Yes.
Member Comesañas.
Yes.
Member Jones.
Yes.
Member Rivero.
Yes.
Member Cobian.
Yes.
Chair Font.
Yes. Council.
The next is ZBA 25-08, 269-271 Elizabeth Avenue.
Are there any proposed revisions or dissents? Hearing none, call the roll, please.
Member Hardesty.
Yes.
Member Comesañas.
Yes.
Member Jones.
Yes.
Member Rivero.
Yes.
Member Cobian.
Yes.
Chair Font.
Yes. We have the minutes of November 6th to memorialize. Are there any proposed revisions? Hearing none, call the roll, please.
Member Hardesty.
Yes.
Member Comesañas.
Yes.
Member Jones.
Yes.
Member Rivero.
Yes.
Member Cobian.
Yes.
Chair Font.
Yes. You don't have any other minutes that you need memorialized at this time, do you?
No.
Okay. Council, are there any matters that require us to convene into executive session?
No.
Well, in that case, Ms. Mejia, when is our next meeting scheduled?
Next week.
Ms. Mejia, we have to have a serious talk, you and I. You're giving us flashbacks, and I can't even stay up this late anymore, 9:17. No, I can't. We used to do those midnight meetings. They're like a nightmare to me now. How many matters on the agenda for next week?
3.
Okay. Well, unfortunately, blame Miss Mejia. I will see everyone here next week. Thank you. There are no more matters on the agenda. A motion to adjourn is always in order. It's not debatable. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
Move it.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.